Chapter 208. Yu Xiao, the core disciple of the Hidden Fire Palace, did not expect that Walking could sneak out to attack him when he was surrounded by two people. Walking used the ghost shadow steps and instantly appeared behind Yu Xiao. With a wave of his hand, a whirlwind condensed into a giant spear. It shot out and pierced Yu Xiao's thigh, causing blood to spurt out. Yu Xiao staggered. The arrogant aura of holding the flame banner instantly disappeared. He hurriedly activated his Xian Qi and two flame wheels appeared under his feet, rolling him far away. This was the Hidden Fire Palace's movement technique, the Spirit Upper Grade Hidden Fire Wheel. If cultivated to the transcendent realm, one could even step on the Hidden Fire Wheel to fly. It was one of the Hidden Fire Palace's ultimate skills. After using this movement technique, Yu Xiao was confident that he could escape Walking's pursuit. He would rest for a while and wait for Yu Qimei and Duanmia to catch up. Walking would definitely not have time to deal with him. However, just as he moved away on the Hidden Fire Wheel, Walking's figure in black tight-fitting clothes suddenly appeared in front of him like a ghost. After comprehending the transcendent realm, one could turn into a ghost, appearing and disappearing unpredictably. Unless one's martial arts realm was much higher than Walking's, it was impossible to find Walking's traces. Still not admitting defeat? Walking flashed in front of Yu Xiao and backhanded a giant whirlwind spear, piercing through the air towards Yu Xiao's face. Fire Spider Silk Coil. Yu Xiao skillfully used the Hidden Fire Palace's Spirit Upper Grade martial technique. A series of fire spider silk met the whirlwind spear and attacked. Suddenly, the whirlwind spear and the fire spider silk collided with each other, causing a violent airflow. Sparks flew and the whirlwind scattered. Tai-yin force. At this moment, Lu Yuan finally seized the opportunity and suddenly released the Tai-yin force, enveloping Yu Xiao's entire body. Flowing light sword shadow. Lu Yuan turned into a flowing light sword shadow and stabbed at Yu Xiao with a pair of scarlet short swords. Yu Xiao tried his best to dodge, but he could not completely avoid it. The sword shadow cut his arm, injuring him again. His fighting strength was greatly affected. Even with the flame banner, Yu Xiao would not be able to beat anyone on the field. Under such circumstances, Yu Xiao could only step on the wheel of fire with all his might and flee towards the edge of the Forbidden Army's dojo. Bai Linsha, Yu Qimei, and Duanmia finally caught up to them from three different directions, blocking Bai Linsha and Lu Yuan's path. After that, Bu Hou and Lu Yuan were fighting 2 against 3, and they were at an absolute disadvantage. It was still fine if he walked on foot. With ghostly shadow void steps, he could ensure his own safety while also exhausting his opponent with whirlwind spear. However, Lu Yuan could not hold on much longer. The celestial qi in her body had been greatly depleted. If she wanted to win, she had to quickly find a better opportunity to fight her opponent. Lu Yuan resisted the opponent's attacks with all her strength. Fortunately, Yu Qimei and Duanmie's attention was mostly on Walking, so Lu Yuan was barely able to hold on. Suddenly, he used the ghostly shadow void steps again and disappeared from everyone's sight. This left Yu Qimei and Duanmia dumbfounded for a moment. Then, they immediately put up their guard to prevent any sudden sneak attack. Good chance. Lu Yuan's heart skipped a beat, and she immediately unleashed her Tai-yin force. Terrifying Earth Seal level nomological power burst forth, enveloping Bai Linsha within it. Afterimage sword dance. Murderous intent flashed in Lu Yuan's eyes. A pair of scarlet short swords danced in her hands. She had actually used the Qingqing Pavilion's trump card, an upper spiritual level martial skill. Afterimage sword dance. Bai Linsha's expression changed when she saw this. It was actually this martial skill. Bai Linsha's heart skipped a beat when she saw Lu Yuan's pair of scarlet short swords dancing in the air, creating countless afterimages of swords. It was as if long swords were dancing in the air. The afterimage sword dance required one to control the short swords to attack the target from a distance. Therefore, it was extremely demanding on one's control of celestial qi. In the Qingqing Pavilion, very few people could cultivate it, even among the elders. Bai Linsha had not expected that Lu Yuan had actually cultivated the afterimage sword dance. This move was extremely fast. Bai Linsha only had a thought in her mind before the pair of scarlet short swords appeared in front of her, leaving afterimages of sword light. Qingqing dance. At the critical moment, Bai Linsha activated her celestial qi as fast as she could. She used a upper spiritual level movement technique in an attempt to dodge Lu Yuan's move. However, the afterimage sword dance was simply too fast. Furthermore, Bai Linsha was enveloped by the Tying force, which greatly reduced her speed. Bai Linsha only felt a pain in her waist. She had actually been cut by the afterimage of the sword light, and a large gash was seeping out of it. She groaned in pain and hurriedly retreated. She still refused to admit defeat. Bai Linsha knew that this was her only chance to defeat Lu Yuan. She could not give up this opportunity. Even if she was injured, she could not leave the arena before Lu Yuan. The opportunity was fleeting. Lu Yuan's attack did not kill Bai Linsha, and she immediately became the target of Yu Qimei. The young man with a childlike face waved his slender fingers, and countless shadow threads were formed, wrapping around Lu Yuan. Whirlwind spear. Suddenly, a whirlwind condensed into a giant spear and appeared in front of Lu Yuan. It instantly tore those shadow threads to pieces. Like a ghost, Bufang split into dozens of clones and appeared in the surroundings at the same time. Each of them formed a whirlwind spear and attacked Yu Qimei and Duan Mia. Ghost Shadow Doppelganger. Bufang's method once again shocked tens of thousands of people, including Long Yu. Even Long Yu did not have a good way to deal with so many Ghost Shadow Doppelganger. Unless he used the Tying force and Thunderstorm force to crush them, it would be extremely troublesome. Amazing! Many people exclaimed in their hearts. As one of the top 9 young experts of the Tang Empire, Bufang's strength was indeed extraordinary. Raging Flame Explosion. Exploding Flame Earth. At this moment, Yu Xiao, who had finally caught his breath, waved his flame banner and displayed 2 sets of powerful martial technique. Suddenly, a wave of flames spread toward Bufang's dozens of Ghost Shadow Doppelganger. It could be seen that once Bufang's Ghost Shadow Doppelganger got close to the high-temperature flames, they immediately showed signs of turning illusory. It seemed that they were very afraid of fire. Because of this, Bufang chose to sneak attack Yu Xiao. Unfortunately, he failed to kill him, causing all his efforts to be in vain. The dozens of Ghost Shadow Doppelganger were quickly extinguished by Yu Xiao's flame banner. However, Bufang's real body did not appear. It was obvious that he was using Ghost Shadow Void Steps again. No one knew where he would appear next. Yu Xiao. Yu Qimei and Duan Mie's eyes flickered at the same time. They both guessed that Bufang would definitely choose to sneak attack Yu Xiao. The two of them rushed toward Yu Xiao at the same time. They wanted to stop Bufang's attack the moment he appeared, lest Yu Xiao suffer a calamity. However, as soon as the two of them moved, Bai Linsha, who was on the other side, helplessly admitted defeat. Bufang did not attack Yu Xiao. Instead, he used Ghost Shadow Void Steps to force the isolated and helpless Bai Linsha to admit defeat. Feeling Bufang's murderous aura, Bai Linsha could only admit defeat. Otherwise, in her current state, only death awaited her. Cutting Space, Saber Light. Seeing this, Duan Mie's eyes flashed with anger. Bufang actually used Ghost Shadow Void Steps to play him like a monkey. Did he really think that he, Duan Mie, could not fight back? As Duan Mie roared, the broken saber in his hand slashed down, creating a cutting space, saber light. This saber light extended from the broken saber in his hand, but it quickly broke apart and reappeared several dozen feet away. In an instant it had crossed several dozen feet. Bufang did not even have time to react. The broken blade sect's specialty could be summed up in one word: speed. Whether it was martial techniques or nomological laws, they all contained the word speed. This cutting space saber light demonstrated the broken blade sect's speed to the extreme. As the cutting space saber light descended, Bu Fang subconsciously wanted to use ghost shadow void steps to dodge. However, at that moment, he suddenly felt a sinister aura bursting out of his body. This burst of sinister chi instantly spread throughout his entire body, causing his entire body to feel as if it was paralyzed, unable to move an inch at all. As the cutting space saber light slashed down, blood splattered everywhere. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Bu Fang's arm was actually cut off by the cutting space saber light. Xiao Bu. In the spectator stands, Zhong Yunzong immediately stood up and exclaimed. Long Yu and the others also stood up and stared at the scene in disbelief. How could it be? How could senior brother Bu's arm be cut off by someone? Although the cutting space saber light was fast, ghost shadow void steps was not slow either. At least, it was more than enough for him to dodge the cutting space saber light. How could he not dodge it? Xiao Bu's face is blue. He's poisoned. Soon, Zhong Yunzong's face darkened as he saw the key point. Poisoned. Bu Fang was poisoned during the martial arts competition of the 7 sects. What was going on? Let him admit defeat. He can still reattach his arm, but if he loses his life, it will be too late. Elder Bai said with a solemn expression. In the heavenly mandate continent, losing an arm was indeed not a rare thing. With Elder Bai's alchemy skills, as long as he was given some time, he would definitely be able to restore Bu Fang's arm. The key point now was to make Bu Fang admit defeat. However, at that moment, Bu Fang's face was blue and he could not move at all. He could not even open his mouth to admit defeat. Go to hell. Seeing that his cutting space saber light had cut off Bu Fang's arm, Duan Mie's face suddenly turned bloodthirsty. He waved the broken saber in his hand, and another cutting space saber light slashed down. At this critical moment, Lu Yuan, who was on the other side, finally reacted. She also saw that something was wrong with Bu Fang. She immediately performed the body martial arts technique, alluring dance, and danced in front of Duan Mie. Duan Mie was shocked. Then, Lu Yuan's white hair fluttered in the wind. In an instant, she crossed the distance of dozens of feet and came to Bu Fang's side. She pulled Bu Fang and took him out of the Imperial Army's martial field. Bu Fang could not open his mouth to admit defeat. If he wanted to save his life, he could only take him out of the Imperial Army's martial field and admit defeat. Where are you going? Duan Mie, Yu Qimei, and Yu Shao caught up from behind. Whether it was Duan Mie or Yu Qimei, they were both faster than Lu Yuan. Taiyin Force. Lu Yuan released the Taiyin Law of Heaven and Earth Force. Endless frost power blocked the figures of Duan Mie and Yu Qimei for a moment. Then, she finally stepped out of the Imperial Army's martial field. So what if I get out? Chapter 209. Lu Yuan led Bu Mie toward the Imperial Army dojo. The moment she stepped out of the dojo, she let out a sigh of relief. However, she never expected that Duan Mie would not let them go. He swung his saber radiance across the air. The saber radiance was extremely fast. By the time Lu Yuan saw it, it was already too late. Reverse scale touch. At that moment, a loud shout came from the side. Following that, a long spear glowing with the color of the netherworld swept over and collided with the saber radiance, shattering it into pieces. Long Yu's figure appeared not far away and stepped forward. Broken Saber Sect, Thousand Thread Sect, you're indeed shameless to use poison in the 7-sect competition. Nice move. Long Yu sneered as he walked forward. His words spread to the surroundings, causing a huge uproar. No wonder Bu Mie was unable to dodge the attack with his ghostly movement technique. He had been poisoned. Using poison in the middle of a competition was truly despicable. Duan Mie was obviously unwilling to accept that he had failed to kill Bu Mie. However, when he saw Long Yu appear, he knew that he would no longer have the chance to kill Bu Mie. Poison? Duan Mie had no idea. He glanced at Bu Mie's ashen face and pondered, before shifting his gaze to Yu Qimei, who was still in the dojo. When it came to using poison, the Thousand Thread sect was definitely the best. As expected, the 14-year-old Yuchime's childish face revealed a hint of disdain. My Thousand Thread sect is famous for using poison. It's unfair for us to go up to the dojo with you. If we're not allowed to use poison, wouldn't our sect be the weakest? The Thousand Thread sect's poison was indeed famous in the entire Great Tang Empire. However, wasn't it too shameless to use it in the 7-sect competition? Tens of thousands of people in the dojo simultaneously looked at Chu Chaosheng, who was sitting in the spectator area. The left Duke, Chu Chaosheng, who was wearing a golden imperial robe, stood up and calmly said, "Poisoning is a technique that all disciples of the Thousand Thread sect must master. If it is in the wilderness or on the battlefield, no matter what method is used, losing means losing one's life. There is no chance of winning." Thus, the duel continues. Bu Fang and Lu Yuan are eliminated. Many people were filled with righteous indignation when they heard this. This Chu Chaosheng was obviously siding with the Thousand Thread sect, but his words were reasonable, making it impossible for anyone to refute. Everyone in the Zhentian clan was furious, but they were suppressed by Bai Zong. Going against Chu Chaosheng now was not a wise choice. The Zhentian clan could only swallow this loss. Lu Yuan and Zhang Fu escaped from the Forbidden Army's training field and obtained 2 martial discourse arrows and 3 martial discourse arrows respectively. 2 of them were given to the Zhentian clan and 3 to the Qinqing Pavilion. In addition to Bai Lynch's arrow, the Qinqing Pavilion finally had a total of 10 martial arrows. Adding the 2 arrows from the Zhentian clan, the total number of martial arrows reached 26, still in the lead. However, there were still 3 people left in the field. They were Duanmie, Yu Qimei, and Yu Xiao. Yu Xiao was already injured. After Bu Fang and Lu Yuan left the field, he took the initiative to admit defeat and obtained 4 martial discourse arrows for the Hidden Fire Palace. Then, Duanmie took the initiative to admit defeat and obtained 5 martial discourse arrows. Yu Qimei of the Thousand Thread sect was the final winner of this duel. She obtained 6 martial discourse arrows for the Thousand Thread sect, which added up to a total of 26, the same as the Zhentian clan. He was only 14 years old, and his childish face had a cold expression as he looked in the direction of the Zhentian clan. It was a great loss that he could not kill Bu Fang in this duel. The duel has ended. Next is the duel between the experts. It's a pity that senior brother Bu can't participate. Long Yu brought Lu Yuan and Bu Fang back to the spectators' stand of the Zhentian clan and said solemnly, "Then we can only rely on you for the next duel." "Yeah, senior brother Long Yu. Senior brother Bu was poisoned by that lad from the Thousand Thread sect. It's really infuriating. You must take revenge for senior brother Bu. I believe that senior brother Long Yu can definitely teach those guys a lesson." The disciples of the Zhentian clan were filled with righteous indignation as they said angrily. Bu Fang had lost his arm, so he could only receive treatment under the care of old Bai. He could not participate in the duel, so the hope of the Zhentian clan rested on Long Yu. "I'll do my best." Long Yu nodded and looked around. He saw Yu Qianing of the Thousand Thread sect. Yu Qianing was looking at him with a cold smile. It was obvious that she was mocking the Zhentian clan for overestimating themselves. The 5th stage of the true spirit realm? It's not like I, Long Yu, have never killed such a person before. Long Yu squinted his eyes. There was no need for him to be afraid of Yu Qianing. However, he did not know the rules of the duel. Either way, once Long Yu had the chance to participate, he would not easily forgive those who were against the Zhentian clan. The duel has ended. I believe everyone knows the number of martial arrows that each sect has obtained. Chu Chaosheng, who was wearing a golden royal robe, stood up and said with a gratified expression, "The Thousand Thread sect and the Zhentian clan have obtained 26 martial arrows each. They are tied for first place. Next, the Frost sect has 17, the Qinqing Pavilion has 10, the Broken Saber sect has 7, the Fire Repository Hall has 6, and the Rain Sword Sect has 2. This result made the people of the Rain Sword Sect feel ashamed. After 6 rounds of duels, the Rain Sword Sect had only obtained 2 martial arrows in the first round. They did not obtain anything in the following rounds. Could it be that the people of the Rain Sword Sect were really weak? No, that's impossible. The martial competition of the 7 sects was not over yet. As long as there was no final result, everything was still possible. Chu Chaosheng's lips curled upward as he continued, "The duel will take place in the next few days, and the rules are simple." Following Chu Chaosheng's explanation, the crowd immediately understood the rules of the duel. The top 7 sects would each choose their strongest disciple, who would be referred to as the challenger. The top 7 sects would have a total of 7 challengers. Each challenger could choose one of the other sects to challenge. In the duel, those who remained standing until the end, as well as the 4th-layer True Spirit Realm disciples who participated in the 6th round, would become the defenders. The goal of the challenger was to defeat all the defenders of the sect, and if they succeeded, they would be able to obtain all the martial arrows of the sect. Just like the free-for-all phase, each round of the competition between experts would be held 2 days apart, and would last for about half a month. The order of the 7 challengers would be decided by drawing lot. Under such rules, there was no doubt that only the strongest person would be able to obtain all the martial arrows. However, it was extremely difficult to obtain the martial arrows of the other sections. The challenger had to defeat all the defenders in order to be considered successful, and the defenders were experts who stood out in every duel. If I were to challenge the disciples of the Fire Concealment Palace and the Broken Saber sect, I could easily succeed. However, each challenger can only challenge once, so I have to choose my target carefully, Long Yu thought to himself as he looked in the direction of the Thousand Thread sect. If he wanted to challenge the Thousand Thread sect, his main opponents would be Yu Qi Mei and Yu Qianing. If the two of them joined hands, their strength would be too terrifying. Apart from Long Yu, perhaps no one else would choose to challenge the Thousand Thread sect. However, Long Yu had sufficient confidence in this. His target was the Thousand Thread sect. If he were to succeed, he would be able to obtain all 26 martial arrows of the Thousand Thread sect, and the Gentian clan had a high chance of winning. Of course, the premise was that Long Yu could defend all 26 martial arrows of the Gentian clan. Since he had lost an arm, he couldn't participate in the duel. The Gentian clan only had enough fighting strength left, and that was Long Yu. If someone were to challenge the Gentian clan, as long as they defeated Long Yu, they would be able to obtain all 26 martial arrows of the Gentian clan. It could be said that Long Yu was the key to this duel. Soon, the 7 sects selected their challengers and went up to draw lot. The Gentian clan's challenger was Long Yu, and the Thousand Thread sect's Yu Qianing. Other than them, there were Yu Shao from the Fire Concealment Palace, Duan Mia from the Broken Saber sect, Qi Guang from the Falling Rain Sword sect, Bai Linsha from the Alluring Pavilion, and Ouyang Ming from the Ice sect. The result of the draw was out very quickly. The first to challenge 2 days later was the Fire Concealment Palace's disciple, Yu Shao. Following him were Duan Mia from the Broken Saber sect, Bai Linsha from the Alluring Pavilion, Ouyang Ming from the Ice sect, and Qi Guang from the Falling Rain Sword sect. Long Yu was the second from the bottom, and the Thousand Thread sect's Yu Qianing was the last to challenge. What a good trick, letting Yu Qianing go last. No matter how the battle turned out, as long as Yu Qianing picked the sect with the most martial arrows, she would be able to snatch the martial arrow easily, allowing the Thousand Thread sect to take first place in the duel. Long Yu saw through Chu Chaosheng's methods with a single glance. The order of the challenges was obviously tampered with, but it didn't matter. Long Yu was confident that he could defeat Yu Qianing, so he wouldn't mind the unfair order. Before Yu Qianing made her move, he would first snatch the martial arrow from the Thousand Thread sect. Long Yu wanted to see if Yu Qianing still had the guts to challenge the Gentian clan after losing to him. After the Jintian clan returned to their residence, Old Bai started to refine pills for Bu Fu, so the two of them couldn't appear in the Imperial Army Martial Field anymore. On the second day, it was time for the first round of experts, Yu Xiao's challenge. The crowd rushed to the Imperial Army Martial Field anxiously, and the news they received was just as they expected. Yu Xiao had chosen to challenge the Jintian clan. Tens of thousands of people's gazes were focused on the Jintian clan. "Brother Long, are we going to go up?" On the Jintian clan's spectator stand, Feng Haofeng asked in a serious tone. In this battle, Yu Xiao had challenged the Jintian clan, which was obviously bullying Bu Fu, who had lost an arm and had no backbone. He also wanted to see Long Yu's true strength. Under such circumstances, it didn't seem appropriate to let Long Yu fight alone, right? No need, no matter who dares to challenge the Jintian clan, I will fight alone. After saying this, Long Yu's figure moved and he stood on the Imperial Army's training ground. He was prepared to face the strongest core disciples of the Great Tang Kingdom's 7 major sects alone. Chapter 210. With the anticipation of the Jintian clan, Long Yu stepped onto the stage and faced Yu Xiao alone. Yu Xiao looked at the third-rank True Spirit Realm kid walking onto the stage alone and could not help but sneer. "Brat, do you really think you have some ability? You actually chose to face me alone. I'll let you know that this is the worst decision you've ever made in your life." Long Yu entering the stage alone clearly showed that he did not put Yu Xiao in his eyes. After resting for 2 days, Yu Xiao's injuries from the previous round had healed. Now that he was back to his peak condition, why would he be afraid of a mere third-rank True Spirit Realm Long Yu? Of course, Yu Xiao also knew that Long Yu was not weak, or rather, very strong. Anyone in the third-rank True Spirit Realm would be like paper in front of Long Yu. However, Yu Xiao was in the 4th-rank True Spirit Realm. After condensing the True Spirit into a physical body, Yu Xiao knew how huge the difference was. After Long Yu entered the stage, he heard Yu Xiao's words and ignored him. He held the 9 Nether Dragon spear tightly and moved the spear tip towards Yu Xiao. "Let's fight." In Long Yu's eyes, Yu Xiao was already a dead man, so there was no need to talk nonsense with him. "You asked for it." Yu Xiao coldly snorted as he raised the flame banner in his hand and prepared for battle. His disdain towards Long Yu was one thing, but when the real battle was about to begin, he had put in 120,000 thoughts. The tens of thousands of people around the Imperial Army Martial Field became alert as they carefully watched the battle. Most people did not expect that the Jintian clan's Long Yu would fight alone. Although Long Yu's performance in the chaotic battle was eye-catching, he was still only in the 3rd-rank True Spirit Realm. The gap between him and Yu Xiao, who was in the 4th-rank True Spirit Realm, was definitely not small. This Long Yu actually dared to fight alone. Could it be that he was really that powerful? Chu Chaosheng, who was sitting in the spectator stands, looked at the arena indifferently. However, one could see a trace of playfulness in his eyes. Of course, he knew that Long Yu was not afraid of Yu Xiao. However, through Yu Xiao, he might be able to dig out more of Long Yu's secrets. The battle soon began. Heaven-suppressing domain. Long Yu released his heaven-suppressing domain, and with the 9 Nether Dragon spear in hand, he executed the heaven-suppressing spear art, condensing layers of spear shadows that stabbed towards Yu Xiao. Yu Xiao waved the flame banner, completely disregarding the layers of spear shadows. Fire of 3 spirits. Yu Xiao quickly executed a medial-grade spirit-grade martial technique of the Hidden Fire Palace. 3 clumps of flames split into 3 directions and headed for Long Yu. As for Long Yu's spear images, they were actually blocked by Yu Xiao's flame banner. As a transcendent-grade spirit-grade combat weapon, the flame streamer was extremely sturdy. Long Yu relied on his cultivation of rank 3 True Spirit Realm to execute the heaven-suppressing spear art of upper mortal grade. Even with the 9 Nether Dragon spear in hand, it was impossible for him to destroy the flame streamer. However, facing Yu Xiao's fire of 3 spirits, Long Yu did not pay much attention. He waved the 9 nether dragon spear in his hand and shattered the 3 clumps of flames with 3 puff 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 sounds. Through this short test, Long Yu had a rough idea of Yu Xiao's strength and instantly had a murderous intent. Once he figured out his opponent, he had nothing to worry about. He had already killed a rank 4 true spirit realm cultivator a long time ago, so he did not feel any pressure facing Yu Xiao. 9 nether dragon fist. Long Yu threw a punch and the 9 nether chi transformed into the Yellow Springs path, extending towards Yu Xiao. Yu Xiao felt a strange aura coming towards him and subconsciously waved the flame banner to block it. However, he suddenly realized that his body was bound by an invisible force. The spirit of Yellow Springs. Long Yu only needed one move to completely restrain Yu Xiao's entire person. Kill! Long Yu punched the ground and the 9 nether explosive flow instantly burst out, enveloping Yu Xiao, who was unable to move. In the next moment, Yu Xiao's meridians were corroded by the 9 nether chi, and he died. To deal with Yu Xiao, Long Yu only used one move to test his strength, and then killed him with a punch. When the 9 nether pillar of chi dissipated, what appeared in front of everyone was a corpse. Yu Xiao, without any ability to resist, was killed by Long Yu with a single punch. The flame banner was still intact. With Long Yu's martial arts realm, even if he used the 9 nether explosive flow, he would not be able to destroy a transcendent spirit-level combat weapon. This showed how sturdy the flame banner was. No one saw that just before the 9 nether pillar of chi dissipated, Long Yu's figure flashed, and he quietly stored the flame banner into the 9 nether space. This Long Yu killed Yu Xiao with a single punch. Am I seeing things? You're right, I didn't expect this Long Yu to be able to kill a rank 4 true spirit realm expert even though he's only at the rank 3 true spirit realm. He's really extraordinary. The Zhentian clan disciple is really unexpected. It's a pity that Thousand Thread Sect's Yu Qianing is definitely the strongest in this martial competition of the 7 sects. No matter how strong this Long Yu is, it's impossible for him to fight against Yu Qianing, who's at the rank 5 true spirit realm, right? That's not necessarily true. I heard that the Wang family's housekeeper, Gu Hebo, led a group of people to surround and kill Long Yu, but they all disappeared. Gu Hebo is a rank 5 true spirit realm expert. He's definitely stronger than Yu Qianing, I'm afraid. Afraid my ass, that Gu Hebo was obviously ambushed. Don't forget, Wang Ju wanted to kill Long Yu, and someone even injured Wang Ju. Tens of thousands of people discussed, completely overshadowing the Zhentian clan's cheers. Although the Zhentian clan had expected Long Yu to win, they didn't expect him to win so easily, killing Yu Xiao with a single punch. In this way, the Hidden Fire Temple had suffered a heavy loss. The Hidden Fire Temple's spectator stand was dead silent. The temple master, Hua Haishan, had a face full of anger. He didn't expect that when he sent Yu Xiao out to test Long Yu, he would be killed by Long Yu with a single punch. He really didn't have the slightest ability to resist. It was obvious that this Long Yu was taking revenge for his senior brother Fu. Although Fu wasn't injured by the Hidden Fire Temple's people, it was still related to Yu Xiao. Where's the flame pennant? Hua Haishan suddenly thought of something and took a closer look. He suddenly realized that the flame pennant wasn't beside Yu Xiao's body and couldn't help but frown. How was this possible? He stood up and shouted sternly, "How dare you, Long Yu? You killed my Hidden Fire Temple's people and even dared to steal my Hidden Fire Temple's combat weapon. Quickly hand over the flame pennant." In the 7 sect martial symposium, killing was allowed, but stealing a combat weapon was not. However, who saw Long Yu take away the flame pennant? Temple Master Hua, you can't speak carelessly. Which eye of yours saw me take away the flame pennant? Long Yu stood beside Yu Xiao's body and sneered, "Where could I hide such a huge flame pennant? I can only say that the flame pennant's grade is too low. I actually smashed it into pieces with a single punch." Hua Haishan almost spat out a mouthful of blood when he said this. The supreme spiritual grade flame pennant could be said to be the hidden fire temple's strongest combat weapon, but Long Yu actually said that its grade was too low? How shameless was Long Yu! But this matter was too strange. Did Long Yu really make the flame pennant disappear with a single punch? Many people present, including Hua Haishan and Chu Chaoxing, were secretly guessing. Could it be that Long Yu had a hidden space combat weapon? But very quickly these people denied this guess. Space combat weapons were too rare. Even the Great Tang Empire's Chu clan only had 3 space combat weapons that could be used to store things. The General clan, Long clan, Xiang clan, and Mo clan each had one. As for the other clans and sects, they did not have any. No one would believe that Long Yu had a space combat weapon. But what about the flame pennant? Hua Haishan could not answer this question, no matter how he thought about it. And it was impossible for him to really search Long Yu's body. In today's battle, the Zhentian clan's core disciple, Long Yu, has opened everyone's eyes. However, indiscriminately killing people in the 7-sect martial competition is not in line with the 7-sect martial competition's purpose. Chu Chaoxing stood up, looked at Long Yu, and said indifferently, Yu Xiao is an elite of the Hidden Fire Temple, and also an elite of the Great Tang Empire. It's too much of a pity for him to die like this. Long Yu, if you kill people again, I will disqualify you from participating in the 7-sect martial competition. The moment these words came out, the Zhentian clan was immediately filled with righteous indignation. Why could the Broken Blade sect and Thousand Thread sect kill Yu Xiao, but Long Yu killed Yu Xiao, so Chu Chaoxing blamed him. Moreover, Long Yu was only at the 3rd level of the true spirit realm. If he did not use his full strength, how could he face an expert at the 4th level of the true spirit realm? He had to restrain himself during battle to prevent himself from killing his opponent. This restriction was too great. All right. Unexpectedly, Long Yu nodded his head in agreement, but then he said, But left Wangye, if someone wants to kill me first, I will not show mercy. Of course. Chu Chaoxing could not go too far in front of tens of thousands of people, so he could only agree with Long Yu. However, how could he say that he wanted to kill Long Yu so clearly? Anyway, Chu Chaoxing had made up his mind that if Long Yu killed people again, he would disqualify Long Yu from participating in the competition. He still could not see through this kid, so it was too dangerous to let him continue like this. However, Long Yu also jumped. It wouldn't be long before someone came to take his life. Besides that, left Prince, the duel between the experts of the 7-sect martial competition doesn't seem to take much time. Why don't we not wait for 2 days? Why don't we end it today? Long Yu raised his head and looked at Chu Chaoxing, who was in the spectator area. His words carried an overbearing tone. Many people were shocked when they heard this. This Long Yu actually dared to negotiate with Chu Chaoxing to change the rules of the 7-sect martial competition? However, if the experts really fought on the same day, it would undoubtedly be much more interesting. Otherwise, it would be too troublesome to have 2 days between each battle. Chu Chaoxing did not expect Long Yu to raise such a condition and could not help but narrow his eyes. After pausing for a breath of time, Chu Chaoxing nodded his head playfully. All right, then we will do as you say. This stage of the 7-sect martial competition will be finished in one go today. This decision was completely unexpected. Next, Yu Xiao's challenger was the Broken Blade sect's Duan Mia, the black-robed Broken Blade swordsman who had cut off his arm. Seeing Chu Chaoxing nod in agreement, Long Yu looked in the direction of the Broken Blade sect and gave Duan Mia a provocative look, as if to say, Duan Mia, do you dare to challenge my Zhentian clan? Chapter 211. Even if a mere 3rd-layer true spirit realm kid had some ability, he still dared to provoke Duan Mia. Wasn't he courting death? Duan Mia harumphed coldly. Donning a black robe and holding a broken saber, he strode toward the center of the ring. I, Duan Mia, represent the Broken Saber sect to challenge the Zhentian clan. The crowd exclaimed upon hearing this. Long Yu dared to provoke the Broken Saber sect, forcing Duan Mie to take the initiative. Duan Mie's strength was much stronger than Yu Xiao's. Although they were both fourth-layer true spirit realm cultivators, they weren't on the same level. Duan Mie had even chopped off Bu Bu's arm. Why would he be afraid of Long Yu? Great timing. A cold flicker flickered across Long Yu's eyes. I will avenge senior brother Bu's severed arm. With Chu Chaosheng's approval, Long Yu ignited the crowd. He was planning to challenge the strongest experts of the other 6 sects on his own in a single day. It was unbelievable, but the more it was so, the more interested the crowd was. Let's see if this Long Yu is really that strong. On the Imperial Army's dojo, Duan Mie and Long Yu stood opposite each other, one holding a broken saber and the other a spear. In an instant the two attacked at the same time. 10,000 slaughter. Long Yu thrust his spear forward like a dragon, roaring at Duan Mie with boundless murderous intent. 3 graceful saber strikes. Duan Extermination actually executed a superior-grade mortal martial technique, wanting to use it to deal with Long Yu's 10,000 kill spear technique. In the next moment, the 3 streaks of saber light instantly slashed into the spear's shadows that were filled with killing intent. However, they were like stones sinking into the ocean, and there was no reaction at all. It could be seen that using a high-rank mortal tier martial skill to fight against Long Yu was a completely wrong choice. However, Duan Mie was not flustered at all. He executed the broken saber domain and retreated at an extremely fast speed, easily dodging the 10,000 slaughter. Your martial skill is weaker than mine. In other words, even if you unleash your heaven-suppressing domain, you won't be able to suppress me. Duan Mie let out a cold laugh and moved swiftly like a shadow. Really? Long Yu's expression was calm. With a wave of his hand, he unleashed the Tai Yin force. A terrifying frost power spread out and instantly covered Duan Mie's body. With the appearance of the extreme Yin force, Duan Mie's movements were hindered. Not only was the broken saber domain completely suppressed, even his own speed had been reduced to a horrifying level. It's the great Yin again. Duan Mie's expression changed. How could this year's Zhentian clan disciples be so strange? Ling Han had comprehended the Tai Yin charm, Long Yu had comprehended the Tai Yin force, and Lu Yuan of the fatally inclined pavilion, who had an inexplicable relationship with Long Yu, had also comprehended the Tai Yin force. Duan Mie had long since experienced the law of Yin. 3 years ago, he had faced off against Mo Fengming of the Mo clan of the Xiang clan. Under Mo Fengming's great Yin energy, he had been completely suppressed by Mo Fengming. But now, even people like Long Yu and Lu Yuan had comprehended the Tai Yin force. This made Duan Mie feel very unbalanced. Why couldn't he obtain such a powerful law of divine monument? This made Duan Mie exude a violent aura. The broken saber in his hand was covered in a layer of black light. Then, a space-splitting saber radiance slashed down at Long Yu. This space-splitting saber radiance was the move that had cut off Duan Mie's arm. At first, the saber radiance was still on Duan Mie's broken saber, but the next moment, it cut through space and swept towards Long Yu. The speed of the void-cutting saber light was too fast. Moon wings rise. Long Yu had been guarding against Duan Mie's move. When Duan Mie attacked, he was already prepared. As the saber radiance descended, the moon wings on his back spread out and instantly took him sideways. With the moon wings spread, Long Yu's speed was unmatched. 10,000 people kill. Relying on his unparalleled speed, Long Yu rapidly closed in on Duan Extermination and stabbed out with his spear, filled with boundless killing intent. He had already comprehended the 10,000 people kill to the greater success realm. When he thrust his spear, killing intent filled the air. If it was an opponent of the same realm, they might not be able to withstand the pressure of this killing intent. Even Duan Mie's heart trembled when he felt the killing intent of Long Yu's spear and his lightning-fast speed. Under the cover of the Tai Yin force, Duan Mie's movements became very slow. Facing Long Yu's spear, Duan Mie only had time to raise his broken saber horizontally, trying to block Long Yu's spear with it. However, under the influence of the killing intent, Long Yu's spear instantly contained the destructive power of the thunder force. Ding! The spear stabbed the broken saber, and the destructive power of the thunder force instantly erupted. The broken saber in Duan Mie's hand instantly exploded into pieces. Then, the endless power of the thunder force surged into Duan Mie's body through the saber hilt, trying to destroy all the meridians in his body. Another type of heavenly steel nomological power. Many people with discerning eyes could tell that Long Yu's spear had been able to shatter Duan Mie's broken saber battle weapon by using another type of heavenly steel nomological power. This nomological power was filled with destruction, as if anything that stood in its path would be reduced to ashes. Even Chu Chaoxing in the spectator's stands narrowed his eyes as he carefully observed Long Yu. Chu Chaoxing had never seen Long Yu use the power of the Thunder Force before. Now that he saw it, his evaluation of Long Yu rose to another level. This kid is extraordinary. Presumably, it was the heavenly steel he obtained from the heavenly steel lightning pool. But how had this kid survived the heavenly steel lightning pool? Chu Chaoxing was puzzled. It had to be known that not even experts of his level dared to step into the heavenly steel lightning pool. Once they stepped in, only death awaited them. On the other side, in the spectators' stands of the Xiang clan's Mo clan, Mo Fengming was wearing a green robe and was sitting leisurely. He swept a glance at Long Yu, who was in the middle of the square, and a look of interest appeared in his eyes. Fengming, if you were also in the third layer of the true spirit secret realm, would you be a match for Long Yu? Next to Mo Fengming, a middle-aged man in a green robe asked with a smile. This middle-aged man was Mo Fengming's father, but he was not the head of the Xiang clan's Mo clan. I'm no match for him. Mo Fengming shook his head and spoke the truth. It seems that you have a rather high evaluation of Long Yu. It's a pity that such a prodigy could have been a pillar of our Tang Empire, but because he's the son of Long Zitian, Mo Fengming's father sighed and shook his head. He did not say anything else. Mo Fengming's heart skipped a beat. What did his father mean? Right now, wasn't Long Yu a disciple of the Zhentian clan and a pillar of the Tang Empire? Could it be that something would happen soon? Mo Fengming did not know the inside story, but he was not interested in it either. What he was interested in was the supreme En force that Long Yu had comprehended. One must know that Mo Fengming had previously obtained the supreme En fragment and used it to form the supreme En force, but the fragments had been used up. This caused him to be unable to progress in the supreme En force for the past few years. If not for the sky-piercing lightning pool, Mo Fengming would have gone to the Ling clan's villa and tried to obtain another supreme En fragment. However, he did not expect that he could not do anything about the sky-piercing lightning pool, and instead, Long Yu managed to obtain it. It seemed that the heavenly tablet of the sky-piercing lightning pool was in Long Yu's hands. Thinking of this, Mo Fengming's eyes flashed. The heavenly tablet was an extremely precious treasure to any martial cultivator. Mo Fengming, naturally had to obtain it. Not to mention Mo Fengming, even someone at Chu Chaoxing's level could not help but feel a little envious when he saw Long Yu display the power of two types of heavenly tablet laws. Unfortunately, Long Yu was unable to escape death in the end. Chu Chaoxing felt that it was a pity. Once Long Yu died, the treasures like the heavenly tablet on him would definitely not belong to Chu Chaoxing in the Imperial Army's martial field. Duan Mie's broken saber was shattered by Long Yu's spear. He was stunned on the spot. He did not expect Long Yu to be so tyrannical. However, before he could react, Long Yu wielded the 9 nether dragon spear and attacked again. This spear was also the 10,000 kill spear technique and also carried the destructive power of the thunderbolt. Duan Mie was still enveloped by the supreme En force and had no ability to resist at all. Poof! This spear immediately pierced through Duanmie's shoulder. Then, the destructive power of the thunderbolt erupted and instantly blew up one of his arms. A debt of blood must be paid in blood. A cold light flashed in Long Yu's eyes. Then, he kicked Duanmie, who had his arm broken, and sent him flying. He rolled several times on the ground of the arena. With Chu Chaoxing's order, he could not kill Duanmie, but he could still avenge Bu Fu. As for Duanmie's life, he would wait for Bu Fu to recover and then take it himself. Long Yu believed that Bu Fu's strength was definitely stronger than Duanmie's. It was just that he had been poisoned by Yu Qimei of the Thousand Threads sect. Duanmie's broken arm shocked the audience. Many people cheered, such as the Gentian clan disciples. All of them were jumping for joy. Senior Brother Bu's revenge had finally been avenged. However, more people were impressed by Long Yu's ruthlessness and decisiveness. This kid was young, but the way he handled things was full of ruthlessness, and no one could use it against him. If he were to become Long Yu's opponent, it would be too terrifying. Chu Shanwu, the sect master of the Broken Blade sect, slammed the table and stood up angrily, glaring at Long Yu. He glanced at Hua Haishan, the hall master of the Hidden Fire Palace, who was not far away, and found that Hua Haishan was shaking his head at him, indicating that he should not be impulsive. It was obvious that there were experts protecting Long Yu in the Imperial Army's arena. Wang Ju had been injured in this way, and no one had seen him for the past few days. Hua Haishan and Chu Shanwu, of course, would not act impulsively again. However, it was impossible for them to swallow the humiliation of their disciples being bullied by Long Yu. Right now, they could only wait for the best opportunity to get rid of Long Yu in one fell swoop. Next, Qingqing Pavilion by Linsha. Long Yu did not care about Duanmie's broken arm. He turned his head and glanced in the direction of the Qingqing Pavilion. The Qingqing Pavilion did not choose Lu Yuan as their challenger, but chose Bai Linsha instead, tacitly acknowledging that Bai Linsha was the strongest person in the Qingqing Pavilion. Bai Linsha was very satisfied with this. Who asked Lu Yuan to be so close to that thief from the Gentian clan, Long Yu? Moreover, it was obvious that she wanted to betray the Qingqing Pavilion. Once the 7-clan martial seminar ended, Pavilion Master Fang Qiaoyun would definitely deal with this matter and clean up the Qingqing Pavilion. However, there was a problem in front of Bai Linsha now. Chapter 212. When faced with a choice, Bai Linsha flinched. Not only Bai Linsha, but even Pavilion Master Fang Qiaoyun shook her head and ordered Bai Linsha not to challenge the Gentian clan. Even Yu Xiao and Duanmie could not last more than a few moves against Long Yu. Bai Linsha was no match for Long Yu. If it was Lu Yuan, she might be able to forget it. Fang Qiaoyun was enraged at the thought of Lu Yuan. She could not understand why Lu Yuan would make such a decision. Betray the sect? This was treason and heresy. Just admit defeat. This round has nothing to do with you. Fang Qiaoyun closed her eyes after saying that to Bai Linsha. She did not want to say anything else. Bai Linsha's heart sank when she heard that. She had nothing to do with it. In other words, Fang Qiaoyun felt that she, Bai Linsha, was very, very weak. No matter which sect she challenged, she would not be able to win. Instead of being humiliated, she might as well just give up. Bai Linsha's limbs stiffened. She was completely shocked by the truth. "I've give up." Bai Linsha lowered her head and said those 3 words in the face of Long Yu's provocation. She gave up. She gave up. The strongest disciple of the Qingqing Pavilion, Bai Linsha, had chosen to give up in this round. Didn't this mean that Bai Linsha was the weakest among the top core disciples of the 7 sects? Bai Linsha, who was at the 4th level of the True Spirit Secret Realm, had chosen to give up against Long Yu, who was at the 3rd level of the True Spirit Secret Realm. This was undoubtedly the shame of the Qingqing Pavilion. However, the greatest shame of the Qingqing Pavilion had yet to come. Following Bai Linsha was Ouyang Ming from the Ice Sect. The Ice Sect and the Gentian clan were allies. Ouyang Ming would not challenge the Zhentian clan. Moreover, he knew that he was no match for Long Yu. Ouyang Ming, who was wearing a blue robe, stood in the middle of the arena. He looked around and then looked in the direction of the Qingqing pavilion. Challenge the Qingqing pavilion. Ouyang Ming's voice was cold, and the long sword in his hand was also covered with a layer of ice. The martial techniques and mental cultivation methods of Frost sect were all related to Frost. The stronger a Frost sect disciple was, the colder they looked. Although Ouyang Ming had lost to Yu Xiao in the last round, it didn't mean that he was weaker than Yu Xiao. Yu Xiao had only defeated Ouyang Ming with his supreme spirit-grade battle weapon, the Flaming Banner. At this moment, in order for Ouyang Ming to win, Tang Qin, the sect master of the Ice School, gave Ouyang Ming a supreme spirit-grade sword that she had used in the past and asked him to fight. If he could defeat the glamorous pavilion, the sword would belong to Ouyang Ming. How could Ouyang Ming not do his best under such encouragement? Soon, Ouyang Ming and the two guards of the tumultuous pavilion, Bai Linsha and a female cultivator at the second stage of the True Spirit Secret Realm, were standing in the dojo. As for those with lower martial arts boundaries, there was no need for them to fight. Ouyang Ming could just stand there and let them hit him, and they could not hurt him at all. At this moment, Lu Yuan was sitting in the Zhentian clan's spectator area. "Sister Lu, aren't you going to help the glamorous pavilion?" Fengyu Xin asked in confusion. Even the pavilion master of the glamorous pavilion doesn't care about the outcome of the martial competition of the seven sects. Why should I worry about it? Lu Yuan smiled faintly. She had no intention of fighting. Now, Ouyang Ming from the Ice Gate was facing Bai Linsha from the glamorous pavilion and another female disciple from the second level of the True Spirit Secret Realm. Let's fight. Ouyang Ming had delicate features, and he looked like he was in his early 20s. At that moment, his heart was filled with fighting spirit, and he brandished his cold ice longsword to unleash a frosty sword aura at Bai Linsha. Glamorous dance. Bai Linsha was not one to back down. She joined forces with the other female disciple and performed the martial arts skill, the alluring dance, to attack Ouyang Ming from two directions. The glamorous dance was not only a movement technique, but it also had a bewitching effect. Especially when the two enchanting girls performed the glamorous dance in front of Ouyang Ming, Ouyang Ming's eyes were immediately attracted. Oh no! Ouyang Ming quickly reacted, but at this moment, Bai Linsha had already flashed behind him. The flowing light sword was like a shooting star, attacking him. Ouyang Ming instantly prepared to defend himself, but it was then when the female disciple at the second level of the True Spirit Secret Realm in front of him released the illusory image of a true spirit with a ribbon, which was faintly discernible along with her alluring figure. This scene attracted Ouyang Ming's attention for a moment. Ice field. Ouyang Ming could not react in time. He could only activate his Xian Qi and release the ice field as quickly as possible. Then, an ice sword true spirit appeared behind him. Clang! Bai Linsha's flowing light sword landed on Ouyang Ming's ice sword true spirit, which had yet to fully materialize. It almost shattered the ice sword true spirit. Luckily, Ouyang Ming's willpower was still strong. Otherwise, he would have been beaten off the stage by Bai Linsha. The two figures collided. Bai Linsha took a few steps back, then attacked again. The glamorous dance and the flowing light sword made her attack speed extremely fast. Ouyang Ming's willpower became even stronger. The other female disciple at the second stage of the True Spirit Secret Realm could no longer affect him. Ice Shadow. Ouyang Ming waved his long sword and instantly, the ice formed dozens of ice shadow clones. Not only did they dodge Bai Linsha's fierce killing move, they also completely confused Bai Linsha. There were so many ice shadow clones, which one was real and which one was fake. Long Yu squinted his eyes at the spectator stand. He had experienced this ice shadow before. It was a middle-grade spiritual martial skill from the ice sect. When he was still at the Ling family's moon mine, Long Yu had fought with the Ice Sect's core disciple, Hua Buxi, who was at the second stage of the True Spirit Secret Realm. At that time, Long Yu had just entered the True Spirit Secret Realm. Hua Buxi had used the two great martial skills, Ice Shadow and Ice Stream. If Long Yu had not released the Dragon of Nine Underworld's True Spirit Secret Realm, he might not have been able to deal with them. Now that he was the #1 core disciple in the Ice Sect, his understanding of this move was naturally deeper than Hua Buxi's. Ice Stream, Sweep. Dozens of Yangming's Ice Shadow clones spoke at the same time, and it was a spectacular sight. Then, the dozens of Ice Shadow clones each formed a stream of ice that swept toward Bai Linsha. Bai Linsha was a little flustered facing so many streams of ice. However, as the #1 core disciple in the alluring pavilion, she was not completely useless. Afterimage Sword Dance. This spiritual high-grade martial skill was relatively difficult to master in the alluring pavilion. Even Lu Yuan had only comprehended it to the minor mastery stage. In the previous round of battle, Lu Yuan had used the Afterimage Sword Dance to injure Bai Linsha, which allowed Bai Linsha to have a breakthrough. She had finally comprehended the Afterimage Sword Dance to the beginner stage and was able to use this martial skill. At this moment, facing dozens of ice shadows and streams of ice, Bai Linsha no longer hesitated. She immediately swung her short swords. Afterimage Sword Dance. The short swords created countless afterimages the moment they left her hands. They were specifically targeted at the streams of ice. As the swords flashed, the streams of ice were all cut in half and lost their power. The Afterimage Sword Dance was extremely fast. Before the streams of ice could get within 10 feet of Bai Linsha, they were all shattered by the sword shadows. However, when Bai Linsha looked up, she happened to see her junior sister in the second stage of the True Spirit Secret Realm being targeted by several streams of ice and was forced to admit defeat. If she did not admit defeat, only death would await her. Although Yangming's Ice Shadow and Stream of Ice were not able to deal with Bai Linsha, they forced her helper to retreat. Colorful Butterfly True Spirit. Bai Linsha did not dare to be careless. She immediately released her true spirit. It was a multicolored butterfly which was similar to Lu Yuan's black butterfly. With the appearance of the multicolored butterfly true spirit, Bai Linsha's law of phantoms power was instantly increased to the extreme. Dozens of Yangming's Ice Shadow clones were all attracted by the multicolored butterfly and Bai Linsha's graceful figure. They were stunned on the spot. Afterimage Sword Dance. Bai Linsha seized the opportunity to perform the Afterimage Sword Dance again. Sword lights danced in the sky and instantly shredded dozens of Ice Shadow clones. Freezing Sky Sword. Yangming's real body suddenly appeared from the remains of dozens of Ice Shadow clones. In his hands, the spiritual high-grade longsword was finally able to unleash its corresponding power. In other words, this was the moment that he had been waiting for. Bai Linsha had yet to catch her breath after destroying dozens of Ice Shadow clones. Faced with Yangming's strongest martial skill, she was instantly defenseless. The freezing sky sword froze heaven and earth. When the sword attacked, the world froze. With the spiritual high-grade longsword in hand, the power of Yangming's sword shocked even Long Yu. Even I have to give it my all against this sword. Long Yu's expression was somewhat solemn. He did not expect Yangming to have such terrifying strength after possessing the spiritual high-grade longsword. His attainment in swordsmanship was definitely not inferior to Qi Guang, the #1 core disciple of the Rain Sword sect. With the freezing sky sword, Bai Linsha could not resist it and could only admit defeat. Yangming's challenge against the Glamorous Pavilion was successful. The Glamorous Pavilion's original 10 martial arrows were all taken by the Ice Sect, causing the Ice Sect to have a total of 27 martial arrows and become the leader of the 7 sects. This was undoubtedly a humiliation for the Glamorous Pavilion. The Ice Sect sectmaster Tang Qin looked gratified. She smiled at Yangming, who had returned to the stage, and said, You can keep this longsword from now on. O Yangming, remember that you are the ice sect's hope at all times. You must always put your own life first, understand? Your disciple understands. O Yangming was neither arrogant nor rash as he replied respectfully. Bai Linsha left the Imperial Army dojo with a heart full of resentment. The Ice Sect's sectmaster had given a spiritual high-grade combat weapon to O Yangming, but what about her pavilion leader, Fang Qiaoyun? Not to mention a spiritual high-grade combat weapon, even a middle-grade or high-grade combat weapon would not be given to her disciple generously. For the glamorous pavilion's disciples, it was harder than reaching the heavens for them to get a better combat weapon. Chapter 213. Following Bai Linsha's defeat, the Ice Sect became the sect with the highest number of martial arrows among the 7 sections. As for the duels between the experts of the 7-sect martial competition, they were carried out according to Long Yu's suggestion. There were only 3 rounds left, and the final winner would be revealed. The next 3 challengers were Qi Guang and Long Yu from the Rain Sword sect, and Yu Qianing from the Thousand Threads sect. Of course, Long Yu would not give Yu Qianing the chance to challenge him. Before Yu Qianing's challenge, he would take the initiative to challenge the Thousand Threads sect, and defeat both Yu Qimei and Yu Qianing. Of course, before that, Qi Guang from the Rain Sword sect would challenge him first. After Bai Linsha left the stage, tens of thousands of people's gazes were focused on the spectator area of the Rain Sword sect. They wanted to see which sect Qi Guang would challenge. Would it be the Zhentian clan guarded by Long Yu alone, or the Ice Sect that had just defeated the Qinqing Pavilion? Logically speaking, after witnessing Long Yu's tyrannical battle prowess, Qi Guang would have a higher chance of winning if he chose to challenge the Ice Sect. However, for Qi Guang, being defeated by Yu Qimei in the last round of battle had become a stain on his life. In order to wash away this stain, he had to choose an expert to challenge. Long Yu, on the other hand, had killed Yu Shao from the hidden fire palace, and cut off the arm of the Broken Blade sect's Duan Mia. Without a doubt, he was an expert, which made Qi Guang's blood boil. Only the strong could become an expert. Only by defeating Long Yu could he, Qi Guang, save his face. I challenged the Zhentian clan. Qi Guang held the supreme spirit-grade Star Ocean sword and stepped into the Imperial Army's arena. As I thought. The corner of Bai Yunzong's mouth curled up. The people of the Rain Sword sect are arrogant, it's only natural that they would choose a stronger opponent. But here they are. Long Yu smiled, stood up, and walked towards the Imperial Army's arena. What had delivered itself to the door? Of course, Long Yu was referring to the Star Sea Sword, the transcendent spirit-level combat weapon. Originally, this Star Sea Sword was sold by Long Yu to the Rainfall Sword sect's Qi Guang, but Qi Guang didn't know about this. Now that Qi Guang had chosen Long Yu as his opponent, Long Yu really wanted to take it back. Wouldn't that be interesting? In any case, the Rain Sword sect was not a good person. They had targeted the Zhentian clan several times during the chaotic battle. Since he couldn't kill Qi Guang, he would just take his weapon and let him suffer. Long Yu stepped onto the forbidden martial field and said straightforwardly, "Let's fight." After saying that, he held the 9 nether dragon spear in his hand and pointed it at Qi Guang. Qi Guang held the Star Sea Sword in his hand and looked at Long Yu. His eyes were burning with battle intent. "Long Yu, I will defeat you and let everyone know my true strength." He really talked a lot of nonsense. Long Yu didn't pay attention to him. He held the 9 nether dragon spear in his hand and moved. Instantly, a spear strike of 10,000 people condensed with endless killing intent charged towards Qi Guang. Rain Sword Art. Qi Guang didn't panic. He held the Star Sea Sword in his hand and casually drew a flower with the sword. Several sword rays accompanied the rain and attacked Long Yu, extremely swift and fierce. The endless killing intent condensed with the 10,000 people killing spear was swept in by the sword rays and quickly dissipated. It could be seen that these sword rays were definitely not undeserved. I will defeat you in the shortest time possible. A cold light flashed in Qi Guang's eyes. He waved the Star Sea sword in his hand, and a domain of the Night Rain Law descended and enveloped Long Yu. In the Night Rain domain, Long Yu felt as if he had fallen into a violent storm. His eyes were filled with raindrops, and his vision suddenly became blurry. Even Qi Guang's figure couldn't be seen clearly. This was the Night Rain Law contained in the Rain Sword sect's Night Rain art. It could affect the vision of the enemy within the range and confuse the enemy's judgment. Thus, one would be restricted in battle. Heaven Suppression Domain. Long Yu also released the Heaven Suppression Domain. However, he didn't dare to condense the Heaven Suppression Sun True Spirit, so it was ultimately not as strong as Qi Guang's Night Rain Domain. The next moment, several rain sword rays descended from the sky, mixed in with the raindrop. They were invisible and formless, but Long Yu was keenly aware of the killing intent contained in the sword rays. Extreme Een Explosion. Long Yu gave a stern shout, and the lunar wings unfurled from his back. Immediately after, he transformed into a grayish-black ray of light and rapidly moved to another location. However, he soon discovered that no matter where he moved to, the Night Rain domain would always cover him. The raindrop-like sword rays could fall at any time. The Night Rain domain was watertight. Combined with the falling rain sword art, the sword light melted into the torrential rain, making it impossible for anyone to discover it. If not for Long Yu's sensitivity to killing intent, with his current martial arts realm, he would have long been suppressed by Qi Guang. Extreme Een Force. Long Yu knew that he couldn't drag on. The longer the situation dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. When he released the Extreme Een Force, the violent storm around him finally weakened a lot. However, he still couldn't find Qi Guang's location. If he couldn't find the other party, how could he talk about defeating the other party? Fortunately, after the Extreme Een Force was released, the raindrops that kept falling around him started to be frozen by the power of the Extreme Een Force, shattering into ice shards when they fell to the ground. As the raindrops around Long Yu froze, he could finally easily distinguish between the raindrops and the falling rain sword rays. Raindrops would turn into ice due to the extreme cold, but the falling rain sword ray was only slowed down by the Great Een Force. Extreme Een Wings, take me away. Long Yu's eyes flickered. Profound Qi erupted from his entire body, urging the Extreme Een Wings on his back to flap. His entire person traversed through the Night Rain domain at the fastest speed. In almost an instant, he finally found Qi Guang's location. Immediately after, without hesitation, he punched out. 9 Underworld Dragon Fist, drunk lying in the Yellow Springs. A punch imitated the path of the Yellow Springs. At the same time, the spirit of the Yellow Springs darted out invisibly, firmly binding Qi Guang's figure that was still trying to dodge. At this moment, if Long Yu took the opportunity to use the 9 Underworld Explosive Flow, he could take Qi Guang's life in an instant. However, because of Chu Chaosheng, he couldn't kill him. Therefore, he could only rely on the Extreme Een Wings and Extreme Een Force to quickly get close to Qi Guang. Immediately after, a fist condensed with 9 Underworld Qi and smashed onto Qi Guang's chest. The 9 Underworld Qi entered his body, causing all the meridians in Qi Guang's body to be corroded by the 9 Underworld Qi. The Night Rain domain was naturally broken. The Imperial Army Martial Field regained its clarity. However, when the tens of thousands of people around the Imperial Army Martial Field could see the situation in the field again, they were all shocked. Strange black lines constantly appeared on Qi Guang's face, as if he was being corroded by some power. And the Star Sea sword in his hand had already disappeared. Although Qi Guang's Night Rain domain could conceal the vision of Long Yu who was within it, it could also obstruct the vision of the surrounding observers. Long Yu took the opportunity to snatch the Star Sea sword when his fist landed on Qi Guang's chest, and threw it into the 9 Underworld space. Qi Guang, who was being corroded by the 9 underworld qi, had no ability to resist at all. The Star Sea Sword was snatched away by Long Yu. Even he himself didn't notice it. Because the 9 underworld qi had entered his body, his entire body was being corroded to the point of extreme discomfort. How could he have the mood to care about a mere combat weapon? I admit defeat. Qi Guang fell to the ground, his entire body trembling. Fortunately, he still had the strength to admit defeat. Otherwise, he would have been miserable. The sect leader of the Rain Sword sect, the white-robed Hua Yenshi with an extremely long beard, suddenly stood up, his face full of anger. This is too outrageous. A disciple of the Zhentian clan is actually so savage. Hua Yenshi was extremely displeased. After all, he had initially thought that he was the strongest in the Rain Sword sect. But now, it seemed that the number 1 core disciple of the Rain Sword sect was no match for a mere Long Yu. This Long Yu was only at the 3rd level of the true spirit secret realm. Bring Qi Guang back. Hua Yenshi waved his hand. Elder Qiu Shusong, who was standing beside him, immediately nodded and hurried to the Imperial Dojo to bring Qi Guang back. No matter what, Qi Guang was the number 1 core disciple of the Rain Sword sect. Even if he lost, he still had to be taken good care of. However, when Elder Qiu Shusong brought Qi Guang back, he suddenly realized a problem in his heart. Where's the Star Sea Sword? Qiu Shusong searched Qi Guang's body, but he couldn't find a trace of the Star Sea Sword. Qi Guang, where's the Star Sea Sword? Could it be that Long Yu took it away? Qiu Shusong hurriedly asked with a serious expression. Qi Guang was already injured to this extent, but Qiu Shusong didn't care. Instead, he was concerned about a combat weapon. It could be seen that the Rain Sword sect didn't have any human feelings. No, I don't know. Qi Guang's meridians were corroded by the netherworld qi. It was good enough that he didn't faint. At this moment, how could he have the time to care about the Star Sea Sword? Qi Guang felt that if he didn't treat him properly, he would die from that strange power. He didn't think about anything now. As long as he could save his life, anything was fine. Seeing Qi Guang in this state, Hua Yenshi and Elder Qiu Shusong looked at each other and saw a hint of anger in each other's eyes. Long Yu of the Zhentian clan was too much. However, they didn't think about who was the one who encouraged Qi Guang to challenge the Zhentian clan. Since he issued the challenge, he should be prepared to fail. Whether he lost or won, it was his own choice. Falling rain broken bowstring, falling rain broken bowstring. If Qi Guang could learn this move, he wouldn't have lost to Long Yu. It's a pity. The sect leader of the Falling Rain Sword sect, Hua Yenshi, sighed to himself. It was a pity that Qi Guang couldn't learn the Falling Rain broken bowstring. His own battle at the Imperial Dojo could be considered as the Falling Rain broken bowstring. Now, it's my turn, right? Long Yu stood in the middle of the Imperial Dojo and raised his head. He smirked and glanced at Chu Chaoxing, who was wearing a golden imperial robe. It's your turn. Chu Chaoxing nodded and squinted his eyes. It wasn't just Chu Chaoxing at this moment. Everyone present wanted to know exactly which sect Long Yu would choose as his opponent. Regardless, the outcome of the martial competition of the 7 sects had already been determined by many. Yu Qianing of the Thousand Thread sect had reached the 5th layer true spirit realm. She was definitely the best and the last challenger. Now, no matter who Long Yu challenged, no one could stop the Thousand Thread sect from winning first place. I challenge the Thousand Thread sect. Following Long Yu's words, the entire Imperial Dojo was shocked and fell into silence. Long Yu chose to challenge the Thousand Thread sect. In other words, he would have to face Yu Qimei and Yu Qianing at the same time. Chapter 214. On the stage of the martial competition of the 7 sects, Long Yu had single-handedly won the battle for the Zhentian clan. Then, in the battle of the experts, his performance was earth-shattering. He had killed Yu Shao of the Fire Hidden Palace, cut off the arm of the Broken Saber sect, and defeated Qi Guang of the Falling Rain Sword sect. It could be said that Long Yu had single-handedly defeated all the core disciples of the 7 sections. Now, when it was Long Yu's turn to challenge someone, he had chosen the Thousand Thread sect. This was truly shocking. The strength of the Thousand Thread sect was undoubtedly one of the best among the 7 sections. Most importantly, they had the 2 strongest experts, Yu Qimei and Yu Qianing. Although Yu Qimei was only 14 years old, she was already a genius expert in the 4th layer of the true spirit realm. She was also cautious and ruthless. Even the leader of the Zhentian clan, Yu Qianing, had been poisoned and had his arm cut off. As for Yu Qianing, she was even more impressive. The 5th layer of the true spirit realm. One had to know that a cultivator in the 5th layer of the true spirit realm was considered an influential figure even among the 4 major clans. For example, the housekeeper of the Wang clan, Gu Hibo, was in charge of most of the Wang clan's affairs. Normally, a disciple in the 5th layer of the true spirit realm would have been promoted to an elder. However, for the sake of the martial competition of the 7 sects, Yu Qianing had retained her identity as a core disciple to ensure that the Thousand Thread sect would emerge victorious. It could be said that Yu Qianing was almost invincible in the martial competition of the 7 sects. Not to mention Long Yu, who was in the 3rd layer of the true spirit realm. Even all the experts in the 4th layer of the true spirit realm combined might not be a match for Yu Qianing. If it was anyone else, they would not have the time to avoid such a heaven-defying existence. Why would they take the initiative to fight against her? However, Long Yu unexpectedly took the initiative to challenge the Thousand Thread sect. This guy is desperate, isn't he? Isn't he courting death by making such a decision? I guess the Zhentian clan couldn't sit still when they saw the Thousand Thread sect about to win. No matter what, they decided to take the risk first. What's the use of fighting? Yu Qianing has reached the 5th rank of the true spirit secret realm. That's no joke. In my opinion, this Long Yu won't even be able to take one move from her. That's not necessarily true. In my opinion, it shouldn't be a problem for him to receive 3 moves. For a moment, the tens of thousands of people on the Imperial Army martial field were all discussing spiritedly. None of them knew the real strength of Long Yu. At this moment, they naturally thought that Long Yu was no match for Yu Qianing. After all, since ancient times, the higher the level of martial arts, the more powerful one's combat ability would be. This was the iron rule of the Heavenly Mandate continent. Occasionally there would be exceptions, but only occasionally. At most, they would be able to defeat an opponent who was one level higher than them, and they would still need the right time, place, and people. But now, Long Yu and Yu Qianing were 2 whole realms apart. Hearing that Long Yu would challenge the Thousand Thread clan, the people of the Zhentian clan suddenly became nervous. Everyone knew the strength of the Thousand Thread clan, especially the winner of the last round of the mixed battle, Yu Qimei and Yu Qianing, who was at the 5th rank of the true spirit secret realm. Any one of them could defeat most of the disciples of the 7 clans, let alone the 2 of them working together. Although Long Yu was strong, could he handle such an opponent? Interesting. Chu Chaosheng, who was wearing a golden imperial robe, smiled faintly and waved his hand. Qianing, Qimei, you can go up now. To deal with Long Yu, there was no need for the rest of the Thousand Thread clan to go up. Even if they went up, they would only be cannon fodder. Yu Qimei and Yu Qianing went up at the same time and stood together like a brother and sister. Judging from their expressions, they did not take Long Yu seriously. After all, this was a battle of martial arts realms. They did not believe that a mere kid at the 3rd rank of the true spirit secret realm could defeat the 2 of them together. Moreover, both of them had hidden strengths that they had yet to display. Come on, I'll let you have 3 moves first. Yu Qianing, who was wearing a yellow robe, stared at Long Yu indifferently. Her words were filled with contempt towards Long Yu. However, in the eyes of the tens of thousands of people, she was absolutely qualified to show such contempt towards Long Yu. This was not the first time that Yu Qianning and Long Yu had fought each other. Yu Qianning had set up an ambush outside the Great Tang Kingdom near the Thunderbolt Pool in an attempt to kill Long Yu. However, Long Yu had escaped that time. Originally, Yu Qianning thought that Long Yu would die after entering the Heavenly Thunderbolt Pool. She didn't expect this kid to be so lucky. Not only did he not die, he even comprehended the power of the Heavenly Thunderbolt Tablet's law. But even so what? Yu Qianning had reached the 5th rank of the True Spirit Secret Realm. With an advantage of 2 ranks in strength, any martial skill that Yu Qianning used would have a crushing effect on Long Yu. Any one of her moves would make Long Yu try his best to defend himself. If she used her full strength, Long Yu would not be able to defend himself. The only thing to note was that Long Yu's speed was extremely fast. The pair of lunar wings was a supreme rank spiritual weapon, which made Long Yu look like a sly fly, nimble and annoying. Let me have 3 moves first? Long Yu stood far away, looking at Yu Qimei and Yu Qianning standing next to each other. Their casual expressions made it hard for others to imagine that they were in the middle of a battle. However, since they were so arrogant, there was no need for Long Yu to remind them. Concede 3 moves, then concede 3 moves. Long Yu was vigilant in his heart. He did not think that he could defeat Yu Qianning in 3 moves. One must know that Yu Qianning had cultivated a martial skill to hide her cultivation. No one knew if the 5th layer of the True Spirit Secret Realm was her true strength. In comparison, Yu Qimei was much easier to deal with. 3 moves, he would defeat him in 3 moves. Otherwise, Long Yu might not be able to win against Yu Qianning. The genius disciples of the 7 sects were much stronger than those idiots brought by Gu Hibo from the Wang family. Yu Qimei's strength was definitely not something that an ordinary 4th-layer True Spirit Realm cultivator could compare to. Under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, Long Yu displayed his first move. This first move was a merciless killing move. Heaven-suppressing domain, lunar force, thunderbolt force. With the 9 nether dragon spear in Long Yu's hand, the 3 types of law powers fused together and condensed at the tip of the spear. Then, he used the spiritual martial skill, reverse scale touch. The 9 nether dragon spear condensed with the 3 types of law powers pointed straight at Yu Qimei, the 14-year-old boy with a childish face. Even if the opponent was only 14 years old, Long Yu was merciless. This was because he knew that if he showed mercy now, he would be the one to lose in the future. The 3 types of law powers fused together and instantly descended in front of Yu Qimei. This move could be said to be out of Yu Qimei's expectations. She had been observing Long Yu's previous battles and knew that Long Yu had comprehended these 3 types of law powers: heaven-suppressing domain, lunar force, and thunderbolt force. The suppression of the heaven-suppressing domain, the freezing of the lunar force, and the destruction of the thunderbolt force. When these 3 fused together, it would definitely create a terrifying destructive power. However, Yu Qimei didn't expect that Long Yu would actually use such a killing move in the first exchange. Senior sister said to let him have 3 moves. Since he has set me as his target, I must block it. I want to see what other moves this Long Yu has. Yu Qimei's childish face was dignified. She waved her hands and thousands of shadows suddenly appeared in front of her, as if they had condensed into a shadow spider web. This shadow spider web had an extremely strong defensive ability. When she was fighting with Qi Guang before, she had relied on this martial skill to defend against Qi Guang's fatal killing move. At this moment, the shadow spider web reappeared. She wanted to block Long Yu's strongest spear, reverse scale touch. The 3 types of law powers instantly exploded when the spear shadow hit the shadow spider web. The terrifying destructive power of thunderbolt spread along the shadow spider web, turning the entire area into a land of thunder and lightning. The lunar force descended along with the spear tip, freezing the shadow spider web into ice cube. As for the heaven-suppressing domain, it directly enveloped Yu Qimei's head, causing her to feel a chill in her heart. True spirit, physical body. Yu Qimei hurriedly released her spider silk true spirit body, condensing it into a pitch-black shadow silk thread, and took the initiative to attack Long Yu. Didn't you say to let me have 3 moves? This is only the first move. Long Yu's lips curled. This Yu Qimei, in the end, still thought of counterattacking. This couldn't be blamed on Yu Qimei. It was just that Long Yu had given him too much pressure. He knew that if he didn't counterattack, Long Yu would most likely defeat him within 3 moves. Before fighting with Long Yu, Yu Qimei would never believe that he couldn't even withstand 3 moves from Long Yu. But now, he believed it. Not only did he believe it, but he also knew that the strength that Long Yu possessed had absolutely surpassed almost all the experts in the 4th level of the True Spirit Realm. He was directly at the 5th level of the True Spirit Realm. Yu Qimei had only felt such heavy pressure when he was fighting with Yu Qianing. This pressure forced him to condense his spider silk true spirit body to counterattack Long Yu. However, even if Yu Qimei released his spider silk true spirit body, it was completely futile. It couldn't stop Long Yu's attack at all. 9 Nether Dragon Fist, drunk lying in the Yellow Springs, kill. Long Yu shouted in his heart and threw a punch. The 9 Nether Chi condensed at close range, and in an instant, the invisible spirit of the Yellow Springs completely bound Yu Qimei. The road to the Yellow Springs materialized, and with one punch, Yu Qimei was stunned on the spot. Bang! Long Yu raised his leg and kicked Yu Qimei's chest. His kick sent her thin and small body flying, and she landed outside the Imperial Army's martial field. 2 moves to repel Yu Qimei. When Yu Qimei's figure landed outside the Imperial Army's martial field, the tens of thousands of people in the audience suddenly burst into an uproar. This Long Yu was really too strong. Among the experts in the 4th level of the True Spirit Realm, Yu Qimei could be said to be one of the best. But she was repelled by Long Yu with 2 moves. Could it be that this Long Yu really had the strength to defeat Yu Qianing? At this moment, the audience, who originally thought that this battle would be boring, were all excited. Almost there. The concept of the 9 Nether Law. Long Yu shocked Yu Qimei with 1 punch and sent her flying with a heavy kick. His eyes flashed with a bright light. Every time he used the 9 Nether Dragon Fist, he could feel that he was getting closer to the concept of the 9 Nether Law. Just now, when he used the drunk lying in the Yellow Springs, he suddenly had a kind of enlightenment. Chapter 2:15. When Long Yu sent Yu Qimei flying with a punch, Yu Qianing's eyes brightened up. This kid's strength seemed to have improved quite a bit. Now that he had the strength to fight with her, this battle would not be so boring. But it's just not that boring. Yu Qianing laughed coldly. What are you laughing at? The corner of Long Yu's mouth curled up as he saw Yu Qianing sneering. He couldn't help but mock. Is it so funny to see someone from your own sect being blown away by me? Yu Qianing was infuriated. However, before she could say anything, Long Yu immediately sent a fist flying towards her, causing her to perk up. Although the power of this punch was not a threat to her, there was something strange about it, so she had to deal with it carefully. This is the 3rd move you promised me, Long Yu said calmly as he threw a palm of Samsara awakening. Instantly, the power of Samsara descended and enveloped Yu Qianing. Palm of Samsara awakening could send the opponent into Samsara with a single punch, causing their martial realm to drop temporarily. Even Yu Qianing, who was at the 5th level of the True Spirit Realm, could not escape the shackles of Samsara. In an instant, she felt that her martial realm had dropped to the 4th level of the True Spirit Realm. Yu Qianing's expression changed. What's going on? This kid had actually comprehended such a terrifying martial skill. No wonder he was able to avert danger so many times and defeat martial arts experts who were stronger than him. Emperor's Domain. Yu Qianing snorted as she unleashed her Emperor's Domain. The Emperor's Law descended and an array of Emperor's Light shone on Long Yu. Tai-in force, thunder force. Not to be outdone, Long Yu also unleashed 2 earthly seal-grade heavenly steel's law to resist Yu Qianning's Emperor's domain. If Long Yu was at the 5th layer of the true spirit secret realm, he might not be able to resist Yu Qianning's Emperor domain even if he used the 2 great heavenly steel laws. After all, Yu Qianning's martial Dao realm was too high, and the Emperor's law was originally at the mystic jade level. The difference between it and the Heaven Steel's law wasn't as great as the ordinary Yellowstone law. But now Yu Qianning had been struck into the cycle of reincarnation. Her Emperor domain had been weakened by more than half. You're actually able to resist my monarch domain. Not bad. Unfortunately, your martial path is too weak. Yu Qianning sneered and released her true spirit. The Shadow Emperor's true spirit. A Shadow Dancer Emperor's true soul materialized behind Yu Qianning. This was the first time most people had seen Yu Qianning's true soul. The Shadow Emperor's true spirit was the Emperor of the Shadow Dance. Even though it was just a black shadow, it exuded the aura of a monarch. The moment it appeared, it was as if a monarch had descended, causing Yu Qianning's monarch domain to increase by several folds. Simultaneously cultivating the 1,000 silk threads Shadow Guard technique and the Spring and Autumn Imperial Sutra, comprehending the Yellowstone rank 1,000 silk thread domain, and the Mystic Jade rank monarch domain, Long Yu's heart skipped a beat when he felt the monarch's aura. He knew that this true soul was much stronger than his heaven-suppressing sun true spirit. Now, his heaven-suppressing sun true spirit had condensed into a physical form, but he didn't dare to release it, because once he released it, others would be able to see that his sun true spirit had condensed into a solid form, but he had not stepped into the 4th level of the true spirit secret realm. There was only one possibility, and that was that he still had a second true spirit, and it had not condensed into a solid form yet. Right now, Long Yu didn't want to expose the fact that he had a second true soul. Extreme explosion. Facing the incomparable pressure of the monarch domain, Long Yu gritted his teeth, and the lunar wings on his back spread out, instantly dispersing the pressure on his body. Following that, Long Yu turned into a ray of black light and appeared behind Yu Qianning in a blink of an eye. 9 Nether Dragon Fist, Reincarnation Awakening. As Long Yu punched, the reincarnation force enveloped the Shadow Emperor's true soul. In the next moment, the True Soul's true soul was also sent into reincarnation, and its strength was reduced by half. At this level, Long Yu could still fight against the 2 Heavenly Steel's domain and Monarch domain. 9 Nether Dragon Fist, Drunken Yellow Springs. Long Yu punched again and again, not giving Yu Qianning a chance to catch her breath. As the formless spirit of Yellow Springs flew out and bound Yu Qianning's body, the path of Yellow Springs formed by the 9 Nether Chi also enveloped Yu Qianning. Wait, it's fake? Just as Long Yu's fist was about to land on Yu Qianning, he suddenly frowned. In the next moment, countless shadow threads formed into a wide spider web that fell from the sky towards Long Yu. As expected, the Yu Qianning that was bound by the spirit of Yellow Springs was only an afterimage. The real Yu Qianning had already arrived above Long Yu's head and used 1,000 Thread Sect's ultimate technique, Shadow Spider Web. Compared to Yu Qimei's Shadow Spider Web, Yu Qianning's spider web contained a monarch's aura and an extremely powerful pressure, much stronger than the real one. Nightmare Thunder Force, break for me! With the 9 Nether Dragon Spear in hand, Long Yu condensed the power of the Nightmare Thunder Force at the tip of the spear and tore a large hole in the Shadow Spider Web. Then, Long Yu's spear tip trembled, and the Nether Dragon leap. Facing Yu Qianning, who was only at the 4th level of the true spirit realm, Long Yu was at ease and would not let himself be in danger at any time. After breaking the Shadow Spider Web with the power of the destructive Thunder Force, Long Yu fell from the sky and used the Heavenly Suppressing Spear art accompanied by the Heavenly Suppressing Force. Even if it was only a Yellowstone law, when used with the Heavenly Suppressing Spear art, it was able to display the power of a mystic jade law. Kill! Long Yu's heavenly suppressing spear art landed on the ground of the Imperial Army Marshall Field, causing a cloud of dust to rise. Yu Qianning's speed was extremely fast. The moment she was hit by the heavenly suppressing spear art, she had already quietly dodged Long Yu's spear. This Long Yu, to be able to fight against Yu Qimei for so long, is really unusual. That's natural. Just by looking at how he defeated Yu Qimei in 2 moves, you can tell how strong he is. However, I think that Long Yu is still at a disadvantage. How can a kid at the 3rd level of the True Spirit Realm be a match for an expert at the 5th level of the True Spirit Realm? That's not necessarily true. Look at him now. Isn't Long Yu completely suppressing Yu Qianning? On the spectator stand, tens of thousands of people were discussing and pointing at the battle. What they didn't know was that Yu Qianning's martial Dao realm had temporarily fallen to the 4th level of the True Spirit Realm because of Long Yu's reincarnation cycle. In terms of basic strength, there wasn't much difference between Long Yu and Yu Qianning. If it was an ordinary expert at the 5th level of the True Spirit Realm, Long Yu would have killed him long ago. For example, Gu Hibo or Wang Yuanshan. However, Yu Qianning's strength was much stronger than these people. In the end, it was because Yu Qianning had received special training from Chu Chaosheng, cultivated the Spring and Autumn Imperial Scripture, and comprehended a mystic Jade Law domain. Almost there. Almost there. One more punch. Long Yu threw a punch at Yu Qianning, his eyes flashing with a cold light. This punch contained the 9 underworld qi, forming a black whirlpool in front of him. Then, he threw a punch at Yu Qianning. As he continued to use the 9 underworld dragon fist, his understanding of the 9 underworld law became deeper, and he was finally about to make a breakthrough. Just one more step. Just one more step and Long Yu would be able to comprehend the 9 underworld law, condense the 9 underworld dragons' true spirit into a physical body, and step into the 4th level of the True Spirit Realm. However, Long Yu felt that he was still lacking some pressure. Yu Qianning might be strong, but she wasn't strong enough to stimulate Long Yu's potential. If he could have another expert to fight against, then, just as Long Yu was thinking about this, Yu Qianning dodged his punch, which contained the 9 underworld qi, and said, "Stinking brat, it seems like not only are you tough, but you also have some fighting skills. Unfortunately, if you think that I, Yu Qianning, only have this much ability, then you're wrong." As she said this, her aura suddenly rose steadily. Originally, Long Yu was sure that his palm of reincarnation had suppressed her martial Dao to the 4th level of the True Spirit Realm. But now Yu Qianning's aura suddenly exploded. The 5th level of the True Spirit Realm. She actually recovered and broke through the restraints of the palm of reincarnation. And it still hasn't stopped. The 6th level of the True Spirit Realm. Yu Qianning released the concealment of her strength. It could be seen that she was a super expert of the 6th level of the True Spirit Realm, but she had been concealing her strength, which was why others thought that she was only at the 5th level. The 6th level of the True Spirit Realm. On the Zhentian clan's spectator stand, Bai Yunzong's expression changed. No wonder Chu Chaosheng was so confident in Yu Qianning. She had already stepped into the 6th level of the True Spirit Realm, the strongest state before the True Spirit as one. Yu Qianning was just one step away from stepping into the True Spirit as one realm. At that time, she would be able to do whatever she wanted in the Great Tang Kingdom. Even the sect leaders of the 4 great clans and 7 major sects would have to be polite to Yu Qianning. They might not even win in a fight. One must know that Yu Qianning had cultivated the imperial scripture of Spring and Autumn, and had comprehended the Dark Jade Realm Emperor's domain. In this aspect, Yu Qianning had completely suppressed the sect leaders of the 7 major sects and 4 great clans. As expected of Princess Qianxi. This aura is too strong. There were more than a few people who were shocked. When the tens of thousands of people saw Yu Qianning's true cultivation, they all took a deep breath. If she was given enough time to reach the 6th level of the true spirit realm at such a young age, she would definitely be able to step into the legendary realm of one with the heavens. The Gentian clan's Long Yu is going to lose this time. That's right. No matter how strong he is, it's impossible for him to defeat Yu Qianing, who is 3 levels higher than him. His basic strength is 7 to 8 times weaker. In front of Yu Qianing, Long Yu is like a baby. There's no way he can defeat him. The tens of thousands of people came to the same conclusion at the same time. Long Yu was definitely going to lose, and he would not be able to resist at all. However, no one knew that Long Yu was at the critical moment of breaking through to the next level. Yu Qianing had hidden her strength, but when she revealed her true strength, Long Yu felt a strong pressure. This pressure made his blood boil, and he broke through the last bottleneck. 9 Nether Realm Concept Comprehended. Chapter 216. When Yu Qianing displayed her true strength, Long Yu finally underwent a transformation under the pressure and comprehended the 9 Serenities realm. Suddenly, the aura of the 9 Serenities ran through his body, and the real spirit of the dragon of the 9 Serenities in his dantian finally solidified, causing his aura to change. He advanced. The tens of thousands of people in the Imperial Army stared at Long Yu with their eyes wide open in disbelief. Yu Qianing had hidden her martial arts realm, and her true strength was actually at the 6th level of the true spirit realm, which was already shocking enough. But under such pressure, Long Yu of the Gentian clan actually managed to condense his real spirit into a solid form and stepped into the 4th level of the true spirit realm. My basic strength has doubled after stepping into the 4th level of the true spirit realm, reaching the strength of 8 June. Long Yu's eyes shone with confidence. His basic strength had reached 8 June, which meant that with the effect of the thunderbolt body, a casual punch from him would have a terrifying strength of 12 June. A punch was equivalent to the strength of 10,000 galloping horses. But that was not the most important change. When he comprehended the 9 Serenities realm and the real spirit of the dragon of the 9 Serenities solidified, he could feel that the dragon seal of the 9 Serenities on his chest had undergone another transformation. Once the transformed dragon seal of the 9 Serenities was activated, it would increase his strength by 10 June, making his basic strength no weaker than an expert at the 5th level of the true spirit realm. Other than that, a set of powerful martial arts techniques was transmitted into his mind through the dragon seal of the 9 Serenities, allowing him to cultivate it. 9 Nether Explosions. This set of martial arts techniques was said to be superior to the martial arts techniques of the entire Heavenly Mandate continent, and it was a super powerful martial arts technique from the Great Desolation era. Until now, only the descendant of the dragon, the 9 Serenities tribe, could successfully cultivate it. In Long Yu's memory, even the people of the 9 Serenities tribe might not be able to successfully cultivate this technique. I'll put the 9 Nether Explosions aside for now. Even if I were to cultivate it, it would take a long time. I can't cultivate it on the fighting platform. Long Yu raised his head and looked at Yu Qianing. Yu Qianing wore a light yellow robe, and her aura was that of a human emperor. The Shadow Emperor's true spirit appeared behind her, making her look like a Shadow Emperor. You actually broke through? But what's the use even if you break through now? Yu Qianing sneered as she raised her hand. Her Emperor domain once again enveloped Long Yu. Heaven-suppressing sun. Long Yu gritted his teeth and instantly released his sun true spirit. Immediately, the heaven-suppressing sun appeared behind him and a violent heaven-suppressing domain was released. However, even after unleashing the heaven-suppressing sun, Long Yu's heaven-suppressing domain was still unable to withstand Yu Qianing's Emperor domain. 9 Nether Dragon Fist, Reincarnation Awakening. Long Yu punched out and the power of reincarnation spread out, instantly weakening the descending monarch domain by a level. With a loud bang, the heaven-suppressing domain and Emperor domain collided, creating a terrifying airflow that pushed Long Yu back a few steps. However, Yu Qianning did not even take a step back. It was obvious that the difference in their strength was too great. Since you've seen my true strength, I'll show you the Chu clan's powerful martial skill. Yu Qianning smiled coldly. It's your honor to be defeated by the Chu clan's martial skill. As soon as she finished speaking, Yu Qianning raised her hand and an emperor's aura condensed in her hand, releasing a sharp emperor's aura. Emperor Qi Heavenly Flow. The Chu clan's transcendent spiritual martial skill, combined with Yu Qianning's 6th level of the true spirit secret realm, this move was enough to split mountains and rivers. Even if Mount Tai was in front of Yu Qianning, she would be able to split it in half. A wave of golden Emperor Qi exploded and turned into 5 streams of Qi that attacked Long Yu from different directions. Each of the golden air currents contained boundless destructive power. If one were to be hit directly, even a LV6 true spirit realm expert would be turned into ashes. So it's this move. Long Yu is in danger. On the sky-suppressing sex spectator stand, Bai Yunzong's expression changed drastically. Even he, Bai Yunzong, would need to spend some effort to deal with Yu Qianning, who was at the 6th level of the true spirit secret realm, using the royal Qi heavenly flow. But Long Yu had just stepped into the 4th level of the true spirit secret realm. How was he going to deal with it? Should he surrender? Unfortunately, in Long Yu's mind, the 2 words admit defeat had never existed. Emperor Qi Heavenly Flow, the royal clan's transcendent spiritual martial skill. Let me see how strong you are. Long Yu's heart was filled with the desire to challenge. The stronger the enemy, the more it would stimulate his fighting spirit. Yu Qianning, who was in the 6th level of the true spirit secret realm, was still within his range. Extreme Een Explosion. Samsara Awakening. The lunar wings unfurled from Long Yu's back, and he burst forth with unparalleled speed. Then, he punched out one punch after another, and the power of reincarnation enveloped the 5 streams of royal aura. Under the effect of the Samsara force, the power of the 5 Emperor Qi heavenly flows dropped by a level. However, it was still not something that Long Yu could take head-on. Following this, his figure turned into a black ray of light and sped around the area. The 5 Emperor Qi heavenly flows followed closely behind him at a speed faster than him. As the golden Emperor Qi heavenly flows were about to land on Long Yu's back, Long Yu threw another punch. Samsara Awakening. Boundless samsara force enveloped Yu Qianning, and in that instant, she was once again sent into the Samsara Awakening, causing her cultivation to drop by a level. Thunderous prowess, thunderous tyrant body. Lightning crackled around Long Yu's body as he turned around and threw a punch at the 5 Emperor Qi heavenly flows. After weakening Yu Qianning's cultivation and weakening the power of the 5 Emperor Qi heavenly flows, Long Yu was confident that he could take on this martial skill head-on. The golden Qi heavenly flows and the purple lightning collided in mid-air, causing a purplish-golden Qi current to explode. In the chaos, Long Yu's figure retreated continuously, leaving the area where the purplish-golden Qi current exploded. His face was covered in cold sweat. Just a little bit more. He almost failed to take on the attack of the 5 Emperor Qi heavenly flows, and this was the 5 Emperor Qi heavenly flows that he had weakened twice. The martial skill of the royal Chu clan was indeed extraordinary. Yu Qianning was without a doubt the strongest opponent that Long Yu had ever faced since he stepped onto the martial path. Yu Qianning, who had reached the 6th rank of the true spirit secret realm, was probably one of the top 9 young experts of the Tang Kingdom. What was certain was that she was definitely stronger than Mo Fengming of the Mo clan, who was ranked 3rd. Your strength is not bad, and your martial skill is quite strange. Yu Qianning's cold voice could be heard, followed by a burst of golden Emperor Qi that dispersed the purplish-golden Qi current. Her figure, who was wearing a light yellow robe, appeared in front of Long Yu along with the Shadow Emperor's true spirit. In just an instant, Yu Qianning's martial skill had recovered to the 6th rank of the true spirit secret realm. The effect of the palm of samsara awakening was negligible on her second attempt, and it would only weaken the opponent for a brief moment before losing its effect. However, the palm of samsara awakening was a supreme spiritual level martial skill after all. It was definitely not weaker than the heavenly flows of Emperor Qi when it was used. Fighting with an expert was indeed a great way to break through bottlenecks, and it was easier for the martial skill to break through to a higher realm in the midst of life and death. At this moment, Long Yu's heart was beating extremely fast, and he seemed to have gained a deeper understanding of the palm of samsara awakening. 9 Underworlds. Yellow Springs. Samsara. Long Yu linked the 3 together in his heart, and the netherworld state quietly emanated from his body. Reincarnation can be used not only on one's enemies, but on oneself as well. Reincarnation allows one to see the past and the future. Samsara Awakening Palm, this top-grade spirit-level martial skill, Long Yu finally comprehended it to the peak realm after comprehending the 9 nether concept. When the Palm of Awakening reincarnation reached its pinnacle, a single punch actually allowed Long Yu to see his own future. In this scene, Long Yu saw that he had already stepped into the 5th layer of the true spirit secret realm. With the Yellow Springs drunken reclining, he actually gathered a wave of netherworld chi and formed a Yellow Springs barrier around him. This was drunken reclining in the Yellow Springs, who had cultivated to the transcendent realm. He could actually form the Yellow Springs barrier to protect himself. Instantly, Long Yu gained some understanding of the underworld drunken skill. Seeing the future, comprehending the martial skill, and reaching the pinnacle of the palm of reincarnation actually had such a heaven-defying ability. Although his combat strength did not increase, it greatly increased the speed at which Long Yu comprehended the martial skill. I can try to gather the netherworld chi and form the Yellow Springs barrier later, Long Yu thought to himself as he raised his head to look at Yu Qianning. Yu Qianning was his opponent, but wasn't she also a stepping stone for him? Stepping on Yu Qianning, Long Yu would be able to step into a higher realm of the martial way, strengthening his martial heart. Heavenly Royal Qi Flow. Yu Qianning did not give Long Yu too much time to rest. She raised her hand and the heavenly royal Qi flow attacked again. This time, Yu Qianning had already formed a resistance against the palm of reincarnation. Even if she was struck by the palm of reincarnation, her martial realm would not fall. Therefore, Long Yu could only face it head-on. Palm of reincarnation. As per usual, Long Yu threw out a few punches to weaken the power of the 5 heavenly royal Qi flows. Then, he raised his hand and began to gather the netherworld Qi around him. It was exactly the same as what Long Yu had seen in the future. A layer of the Yellow Springs barrier appeared beside Long Yu, flickering with the strange light of the 9 underworlds. When the 5 streams of golden imperial aura slammed into the nether spring barrier, 9 nether runes appeared on the barrier, and the strange power it produced completely dispersed the power of the 5 streams of golden imperial aura. The transcendent drunken reclining in the Yellow Springs barrier's defensive capabilities are so terrifying. Long Yu was not the only one who was shocked. The entire Imperial Army's tens of thousands of people could not take their eyes off of this scene. It was too exciting. Chapter 217. The tens of thousands of people were shocked by Long Yu's terrifying strength. If such a young man was allowed to grow, his achievements would definitely surpass Yu Qianning's. He was indeed the son of the former general, Long Zitian. How could the son of the dragon be ordinary? Unfortunately, many people knew that it would be difficult for Long Yu to leave this place alive. In fact, it was hard to say whether they could win this battle or not. Although the crowd had witnessed Long Yu's strength, his opponent was Yu Qianning, who was at the rank 6 true spirit realm. Humph! Seeing that Long Yu had actually condensed a strange black barrier to block her Emperor Qi heavenly current, the disdain in Yu Qianning's eyes faded. This kid was really too strange. Each time, Yu Qianning felt that she would be able to get rid of Long Yu. However, he would always be able to block her attacks time and time again. Looks like I can only use that move. Yu Qianning made up her mind and smiled coldly at Long Yu as if he was a dead man. She raised her hand and a golden emperor's aura surged out and formed a small golden ball in front of her. The golden ball grew bigger and bigger as the golden emperor's aura gathered. After a few breaths' time, it turned into a golden human figure. It's the emperor summoning spiritual skill. Among the tens of thousands of people, many of them were familiar with the Chu family's martial skills and could immediately tell what kind of skill it was. The Emperor's summoning spiritual skill was the strongest martial skill of the Chu family. It had surpassed the spiritual level and was a profound level martial skill, which was stronger between a profound level martial skill and a top-grade spiritual martial skill. No one knew because no one had ever used a top-grade spiritual martial skill before. But now, the answer was about to be revealed. The Emperor's summoning spiritual skill used the aura of the Emperor's law to summon an ancient Emperor to crush everything. The strength of the ancient Emperor that was summoned was related to the cultivation realm of the person who used the Emperor's summoning spiritual skill. Yu Qianning, who was at the rank 6 true spirit realm, used this skill to summon an ancient Emperor that was at the rank 6 true spirit realm. What is this? Long Yu stood not too far away. He removed the barrier and looked at Yu Qianning with a serious expression. No matter what, he could feel that the golden orb's human form was extremely powerful. If Yu Qianning was allowed to complete this move, then Long Yu would be defeated. Take the initiative to attack. Without hesitation, Long Yu extended his lunar wings and charged towards Yu Qianning at his fastest speed. The distance of several dozen zhang was covered in the blink of an eye. Then, Long Yu punched out. The energy of the netherworld condensed, and the Yellow Springs drunken slumbering. The spirit of Yellow Springs was formless and invisible, and it immediately bound Yu Qianning's body. The Yellow Springs path formed by the 9 nether chi was also paving towards Yu Qianning. However, at this moment, Yu Qianning's eyes flashed with disdain. You want to trap me with this move? Dream on. Yu Qianning laughed sinisterly. Then, a golden emperor's chi exploded from her body. In an instant, her entire body was wrapped in a golden light. The spirit of the netherworld that bound her just now was dispersed by this burst of golden light. There was a difference of 2 levels in the martial Dao realm between the two sides. This gap was too great. Then, Yu Qianning held the golden orb in her hand. Her body flashed, leaving only a shadow on the spot, and she escaped from the range of the Yellow Springs path. Even if Long Yu's speed was fast, Yu Qianning's speed was not slow either. If the two of them were to compete purely in terms of speed, it could be said that they were on the same level. Let me show you a Xian-level martial technique, summoning Emperor Spirit Art. Yu Qianning laughed coldly. She raised her hand, and the golden human form in her hand broke free from her control. Gradually, it turned into a golden figure with a huge sword in its hand. Xian-level martial technique? Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. It's a Xian-level martial technique, no wonder he felt such a strong emperor's chi. Long Yu had never seen a Xian-level martial technique before. But just from the aura of Yu Qianning's move, he could feel that it was extraordinary. This caused Long Yu to look forward to it even more. He wondered what kind of terrifying might the Nether Dragon 9 explosions, a martial skill inherited from the great desolate realm, would possess. Xian-level martial technique? I really want to see it for myself. A challenge rose in Long Yu's heart. Glancing over, he saw a golden figure wielding a great sword materializing in front of Yu Qianning. His golden eyes emitted a boundless emperor's aura. The Emperor of the Great Sword. It's the Chu clan, the Emperor of the Great Sword from the previous generation. I didn't expect Yu Qianning to summon the Emperor of the Great Sword. Many people exclaimed. The characters summoned by the Summoning Emperor Spirit technique were mostly powerful existences in the history of the royal Chu family. Each of these existences had left a heavy mark in the history of the Great Tang Empire. It was the same for the Emperor of the Great Sword. Rumor had it that the Emperor of the Great Sword had left the Heavenly Mandate continent for a bigger world. But no one knew exactly where he was. It had been 100 years since the era of the Emperor of the Great Sword. It was even questionable if he was still alive. But no matter what, the Emperor of the Great Sword's strength was undeniable. At the age of 22, the Emperor of the Great Sword had stepped into the legendary realm of oneness of heaven and human, becoming a legend in the Heavenly Mandate continent. The Emperor of the Great Sword could be said to be the strongest existence that the Chu clan had ever produced. It was because of the Emperor of the Great Sword that the Chu clan was able to stand tall in the Great Tang Empire for so long. This aura, it's terrifying. Long Yu clenched his teeth. He could feel the waves of Emperor's qi coming from the golden figure of the Emperor of the Great Sword, making it hard for him to breathe. The 6th level of the True Spirit Realm. When Yu Qianning executed the Summoning Emperor Spirit Art, Long Yu would have to fight against 2 experts at the 6th level of the True Spirit Realm alone. If it was any other martial cultivator at the 4th level of the True Spirit Realm, they would not even dare to think about it. But now, Long Yu was filled with endless battle intent. So what if it's the Emperor of the Great Sword? Long Yu held the 9-nether dragon spear in his hand as a cold light flashed in his eyes. No matter how strong the Emperor of the Great Sword was, he only needed to deal with Yu Qianning. As long as he could defeat Yu Qianning with the Summoning Emperor Spirit Art, the Emperor of the Great Sword would be destroyed. Great Sword Whirlwind. As soon as the golden figure of the Emperor of the Great Sword appeared, the sword in its hand was swung horizontally. Suddenly, a golden whirlwind of sword light shot out at a terrifying speed. Seeing this, Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. Strong, it's too strong. This great sword whirlwind was definitely a martial skill that surpassed the spiritual level. Long Yu did not expect that the Emperor that Yu Qianning had summoned would be able to execute a profound level martial skill that was even stronger. I can't fight it head-on. Long Yu's heart skipped a beat as he immediately made a decision. Since Yu Qianning had used the Summoning Emperor Spirit Art as her trump card, the Emperor of the Great Sword must have a terrifying strength and would be harder to deal with than Yu Qianning herself. Drunken Underworld. Long Yu punched out in the air, and instantly, the netherworld qi condensed into a yellow spring barrier, blocking in front of him. Immediately after, the lunar wings spread out, bringing him back rapidly. The golden sword whirlwind actually shattered the yellow spring's barrier in an instant. Following which, it continued its assault on Long Yu. Long Yu's martial skill realm was too low. Even if he used the drunken underworld and formed the underworld barrier, he would not be able to withstand a casual attack from the Emperor of the Great Sword. This time, Long Yu is definitely going to lose. However, I did not expect Yu Qianning to be able to comprehend the Summoning Emperor Spirit Art and summon the Emperor of the Great Sword at the age of 18. This talent is even more terrifying than Chu Chaosheng's. With the Emperor of the Great Sword, Yu Qianning will be able to easily face an expert in the rank 7 True Spirit Realm. Tens of thousands of people exclaimed at the same time. It could be said that this was the most exciting moment since the beginning of the martial arts discussion. No matter who it was, what they wanted to see the most was a battle between experts. It would be beneficial to their own martial Dao cultivation. At this moment, the battle between Yu Qianning and Long Yu had benefited many people. Lunar wings, it's all up to you. Long Yu continued to retreat, his lunar wings unfurled, instantly bringing him up into the sky, as if he was a demonic beast with wings. This kind of flight would not last long, but even if it was only for a few breaths' time, it would give Long Yu an advantage. He's flying, he's flying. Long Yu's top-grade spiritual artifact is too shocking. Facing the sovereign spirit of the Great Sword Emperor, could it be that Long Yu still wishes to resist? Everyone's attention was focused on Long Yu, who was flying in the sky. Everyone knew that only those who had reached the legendary realm of one with the heavens could fly in the sky. But now, with the help of the lunar wings, Long Yu had done it. Soaring through the air, he was like a soaring eagle. Even so, what's the use? Yu Qianning's face was full of disdain. She waved her hand and the Emperor of the Great Sword moved according to her will. A golden sword ray whirlwind was formed and flew towards Long Yu. The golden sword ray was dazzling, but Long Yu ignored it. Reverse scale touch. He held the 9 nether dragon spear firmly in his hand as he spat a mouthful of blood on the tip of the spear. Then, a thunderous destructive force descended from the sky towards Yu Qianning. At the same time, the lunar wings on his back flapped, instantly allowing him to just barely avoid the large golden sword whirlwind that swept towards him. A spear was aimed at Yu Qianning. The Emperor of the Great Sword was too strong for Long Yu to fight against. Since that was the case, he only needed to use his agility in the sky to attack Yu Qianning. Heavenly flow of royal energy. Yu Qianning snorted coldly. Long Yu wanted to attack her body. Was she that weak? 5 golden streams of heavenly flow of royal energy surged out from 5 different directions towards the descending Long Yu. 9 nether dragon fist. Long Yu loosened his grip on the 9 nether dragon spear, allowing the spear to meet the 5 streams of heavenly flow of royal energy. As for his own body, he flapped his wings and flew in another direction. Aiming at Yu Qianning, he threw out a punch. The speed at which the chi of 9 underworlds condensed was even faster, and the Yellow Springs path was formed in an instant. Now that he had reached the transcendent realm, not only could he form the Yellow Spring barrier for defense, but his offensive power was also several times stronger than before. Yu Qianning's expression changed. Chapter 218. Unable to react in time to Long Yu's agile attacks, Yu Qianning was enveloped by the Yellow Springs path, and was unable to move at all. Long Yu seized the opportunity, and threw a punch at Yu Qianning, ignoring the 9 nether dragon spear that was clashing with the 5 streams of golden imperial aura. The 9 nether chi condensed on Long Yu's fist and landed on Yu Qianning's snow-white chest. Yu Qianning was unable to resist and was sent flying by the punch. The Great Sword Emperor's spirit that she had summoned also stopped moving when she was stunned. Only when Long Yu's fist sent Yu Qianning flying did she finally groan in pain and came back to her senses. Kill him! Yu Qianning did not want to admit defeat. Instead, she commanded the Great Sword Emperor's spirit with a fierce look in her eyes. The Great Sword Emperor's royal spirit's pair of golden eyes burst with a bright light. Immediately after, it rushed towards Long Yu. The great sword in its hand danced rapidly, condensing a golden great sword tornado. It wanted to cut Long Yu into pieces. In the next moment, Long Yu raised his hand and grabbed the 9 nether dragon spear that was sent flying by the 5 streams of imperial aura again. Then, the lunar wings flapped and Long Yu turned into a black ray of light. He placed the spear in front of Yu Qianning's neck. You've lost. Admit defeat. Long Yu said coldly. However, Yu Qianning did not say a word. Her vicious eyes were filled with unwillingness. Of course, she would not admit defeat to a kid at the 4th level of the true spirit realm. Yu Qianning actually didn't care that her life was in Long Yu's hands. She wanted to kill Long Yu in the Imperial Army's martial field. Stop. She has already lost. In the Gentian clan spectator area, White Cloud Trace stood up and shouted at Chu Chaosheng, who was not far away. Long Yu's 9 nether dragon spear was pressed against Yu Qianning's neck. As long as he exerted a bit of force, she would die. Under such circumstances, Yu Qianning would naturally lose. However, Yu Qianning did not admit defeat. Instead, she ordered the Emperor of the Great Sword to continue attacking Long Yu. This was extremely shameless. Really? Chu Chaosheng smiled faintly and ignored Bai Yunzong's shout. Instead, he said, "If he can kill Qianning, then let him try." Hearing those words, Bai Yunzong's expression changed. Poison. Previously, Yuchime had poisoned Long Yu during the chaotic battle. Now that Long Yu had been fighting Yu Qianning for so long, it was natural that he would be poisoned as well. Despicable! Zhong Yunzong cursed inwardly and immediately stood up, wanting to enter the arena to save Long Yu. However, very quickly something unexpected happened. "If you don't admit defeat, then you are seeking death." Long Yu's eyes flashed with coldness. Of course, he had already felt the poison coursing through his body. If this poison were to explode, his entire body would be numb and unable to move, just like Yu Qianning. Just now, when he pressed the tip of his spear against Yu Qianning's neck, the poison exploded. However, the 9 underworld's dragon seal suddenly heated up and completely suppressed the poison. In a few breaths of time, it had completely dispersed the poison. In other words, everyone thought that Long Yu was poisoned, but Long Yu was not. Yu Qianning's eyes were full of hatred. She thought that Long Yu was unable to move. Because of this, she didn't admit defeat and instead ordered the Emperor of the Great Sword to continue attacking Long Yu. A golden whirlwind pierced through the air, full of killer's intent. Long Yu hissed and stabbed down with his spear, piercing through Yu Qianning's snow-white shoulder. Fresh blood dyed the tip of the spear red. Ah! Yu Qianning was not prepared at all. She screamed in pain and the hatred in her eyes intensified. The poison didn't take effect? Stop! This time, Chu Chaosheng could no longer sit still. His expression changed as he stood up. Yu Qianning was his daughter. Though he had always treated her like a tool, he did not want to see her killed in the arena. Long Yu was not affected by the poison. In other words, Long Yu had the ability to kill Yu Qianning. Under these circumstances, there was no way Chu Chaosheng would sit still. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this critical moment, several extremely fast figures dashed toward the center of the field at the same time. Long Yu wanted to use his spear to lift Yu Qianning up and let her have a taste of the power of the golden whirlwind. But right at this moment, a fragrant wind blew and a palm landed on Long Yu's chest. The sect leader of the Thousand Thread sect, Yu Ruyan, was the first to act. She sent Long Yu flying and saved Yu Qianning at the same time. Pfft! Long Yu spat out a mouthful of blood. Like a broken kite, he flew backwards and landed heavily on the ground. As the sect leader of the Thousand Thread sect, Yu Ruyan had long reached the realm of true soul as one. Her strength was not inferior to Bai Zong. Even a casual palm from her was enough to severely injure Long Yu. His internal organs felt like they had been shattered. From the beginning, Yu Ruyan had been paying attention to the situation and was ready to act. Even Bai Zong could not catch up to her. When Bai Zong leaped high into the air and headed towards the Imperial Army's dojo, Chu Chaosheng smiled faintly and blocked Bai Zong's path. Sect leader Bai, the outcome of this battle has been decided. What else do you want? Chu Chaosheng said playfully. The outcome has been decided? Bai Zong harumphed coldly. He wanted to see what Chu Chaosheng had up his sleeves. Of course. Yu Qianning almost killed Long Yu with her summoning Emperor's spiritual art. If it wasn't for Ruyan who pushed that brat away, I'm afraid he would have been killed by the whirlwind. Chu Chaosheng said indifferently, Yu Qianning wins this battle. The moment these words were spoken, the crowd was in an uproar. This Chu Chaosheng was really shameless. Everyone saw what happened just now. Long Yu was about to kill Yu Qianning. It was Yu Ruyan who pushed Yu Qianning away and injured Long Yu with a palm. Chu Chaosheng actually said that it was Yu Ruyan who saved Long Yu. Chu Chaosheng, your ability to distort right and wrong is improving day by day. Bai Zong's face darkened. He did not expect Chu Chaosheng to be so shameless. But here, Chu Chaosheng's words were the truth. No one would refute him. It was impossible to defeat Chu Chaoxing with just White Cloud Trace and Tang Qin, the sect master of the Ice Sect. Chu Chaoxing stopped by Zong, but Yu Ruyan did not stop after saving Yu Qianing. Yu Ruyan, dressed in white, looked dignified and elegant. She slowly walked towards Long Yu, who was vomiting blood and lying on the ground. In her eyes there was a trace of mockery, playfulness, and a trace of pleasure from revenge. The son of Yu and that bitch is right in front of me, and I can take his life at any time. Yu Ruyan thought of 20 years ago, when Long Zitian ignored her and fell head over heels for the girl from the Heavenly Mandate Academy. She could not suppress the anger and resentment in her heart. Now, looking at Long Yu, looking at the son of Long Zitian and Bei Yuyao, in front of her, his life and death were all up to her. It was as if all the hatred she had accumulated over the past 20 years had gathered together. She wanted to kill Long Yu. In this martial arts competition of the seven sects, she saw Long Yu's terrifying martial arts talent. If he was allowed to continue to grow, she was afraid that she would not be able to control him. Enough is enough. Just as Yu Ruyan strode forward, an aged sigh rang out from an inconspicuous corner of the spectator stands. Then, an old man in a grey robe, draped in a cloak, walked towards the field. With each step the old man took, the air seemed to be filled with the smell of blood. Everyone could smell the stench of a bloody storm. Old man! Yu Ruyan's expression changed. Of course, she recognized who this old man was. He was the previous master of the Long family, and the father of the current master, Long Ruotian, Long Yuanjian. At the same time, this old man was Long Yuanjian, the father of Long Zitian, and also Long Yu's grandfather. Grandfather? Long Yu struggled to stand up, and as soon as he saw this old man, he accurately guessed the identity of the old man based on his intuition. His grandfather, Long Yuanjian, was very strong. Now, Long Yu could roughly guess that sect masters like Bai Yunzong, Yu Ruyan, and Tang Qin, as well as the master of a family like Wang Ju, all had the strength of the 8th tier of the true spirit realm. And Chu Chaoxing should have just stepped into the 9th tier of the true spirit realm. As for the grey-robed old man, Long Yuanjian, who was also Long Yu's grandfather, he had reached the 9th level of the true spirit realm a long time ago. He was only a step away from the legendary realm of being one with the world. Even if Chu Chaoxing fought with Long Yuanjian, he would definitely not be a match for Long Yuanjian. Not to mention Yu Ruyan. You, leave the great Tang. Long Yuan said to Long Yu in a low voice when he saw that Long Yu had arrived. These words made Long Yu recall the warning that Long Yuanjian had entrusted to him not too long ago. Leave the great Tang. But, the martial competition of the seven sects, Long Yu sternly said. He was not willing to accept that the arrogance of the thousand-thread sects Yu Qianing, which he should have been able to suppress, had been ruined by Chu Chaoxing's nonsense. It's none of your business. Long Yuanjian growled as he raised his head. Beneath the cloak was an elderly face, but his eyes were filled with determination. Okay. Long Yu's heart sank. He knew that there was probably an inside story to this matter that he didn't know about. Given his current cultivation, it was impossible for him to affect the overall situation. Now that the martial competition of the seven sects was over, there was truly no meaning for him, Long Yu, to stay. Since that was the case, it was better to listen to Long Yuanjian and leave the great Tang first. As for where to go, it was not a problem for Long Yu. The Heavenly Mandate continent was incomparably vast, and he could find a place to settle down anywhere. Moreover, wandering the outside world might allow him to increase his cultivation level even faster. Even if Chu Chaoxing wanted to seize the heaven-suppressing formula and suppress the Zhentian clan, it would not be immediately effective. Long Yu had enough time to improve himself, to train himself until he had the strength to control the entire Great Tang. With Long Yuanjian around, if Long Yu wanted to leave, no one would be able to stop him. However, just as Long Yu made up his mind and was about to turn around to leave the Imperial Army, he saw a familiar figure. Feng Yao? Flying in the air? Long Yu raised his head and saw Feng Yao, accompanied by a handsome young man, flying through the air. Like a ray of light, they flew over from outside the Imperial Army's martial field. Flying through the air, the legendary realm of unity of heaven and man. On the heavenly Mandate continent, every one of the 7 Bane stars was famous. They were all fierce people who had reached the realm of oneness of heaven and human beings. Even in the Tang Empire, many people had heard of the legend of the 7 stars of disaster. Because of this, when they saw the handsome young man in a blue robe flying through the air, they quickly guessed his identity. Star Sea Wheel. Long Yu quickly guessed the other party's identity. However, he didn't expect the other party to be so young. Oh no! Long Yuanjin's face darkened when he saw the starry sea leaf wheel. He knew that it was too late. Today, it would be difficult for Long Yu to leave this place alive. Yaoer. The people of the Lu clan were also present, including Lu Yu. When she saw that her daughter was with a handsome young man who could fly through the air, her face was full of joy. Not bad, not bad. As a mother, she did not let her daughter down. Flying through the air and oneness of heaven and human beings could be said to be the highest realm that Lu Yu knew. In the entire Tang Empire, it was the strongest existence. Reaching the realm of oneness of heaven and human beings, not to mention the Wang clan, the Yuqi clan, and the Zhentian clan, even the top 3 sects of the Tang Empire did not have to worry too much. Feng Yao actually got to know such a strong young man, which made Lu Yu very happy. As for Feng Chang'e, he had been training in seclusion recently, trying to break through to the realm of oneness of true spirit, and was not present. Otherwise, Feng Yao might not have appeared with the Star Sea Leaf Wheel, because the person she was here to deal with was Long Yu. Little Yao, what are you doing? The moment Tang Qin, the sect master of the Ice sect, saw Feng Yao and Yi Luan, her heart skipped a beat and she had a bad feeling. This made Tang Qin very uncomfortable. No matter what, Feng Yao was once a disciple of the Ice sect. Sect master. Feng Yao raised her head and looked at Tang Qin with a cold smile on her face. I still call you sect leader, because you were once my sect leader. However, there has never been a place for me in the Ice sect. Since that's the case, why don't I find another place to go? The meaning of her words was very clear. Feng Yao was not being nurtured in the Ice sect, which made her feel unbalanced. Because of this, she had to find another place to go, and this time, she found the Star Sea Leaf Wheel. Who is this? Tang Qin looked at the Star Sea Leaf Wheel. Although she and most people had already guessed his identity, they still needed to confirm it. My name is Yi Luan. Today, I only came for one thing. I will leave after I finish it. The handsome young man, Star Sea Leaf Wheel, with a gentle smile on his face, landed in the middle of the Imperial Army's arena with Feng Yao, not far away from Long Yu. He flew in the air, as light as the wind. After saying this, Yi Luan looked at Long Yu, a trace of indifference flashing through his eyes. He came here today to deal with Long Yu, but a mere Long Yu was nothing in his eyes. Previously, he had sent a few subordinates, including Feng Yao, to surround and kill Long Yu, but Long Yu had killed them instead, which made him realize that Long Yu was not a simple person. Because of this, Star Sea Leaf Wheel decided to do it himself. If you want to kill him, you have to go through me first. Wearing a gray robe, Long Yuanjian moved and blocked in front of Long Yu. Although he was no match for Yi Luan, Long Yuanjian couldn't just watch Long Yu be killed. Senior Long, you are no match for me. You'd better get out of my way. Star Sea Leaf Wheel said politely. On the surface, Galaxy Yi Luan seemed to be very polite. However, those who were familiar with him knew that he was vicious when it came to killing people. Because of this, Star Sea Leaf Wheel was listed as one of the 7 Bane stars. Of the 7 Bane stars of the heavenly mandate continent, which one of them was not a cruel and merciless person? Seeing the tense situation in the arena, tens of thousands of people present felt their hearts in their mouths at the same time. Star Sea Leaf Wheel was here to kill Long Yu. Some people knew that Long Yu seemed to have offended Feng Yao of the Ice Sect, but now Feng Yao was no longer a disciple of the Ice Sect, but a member of Star Sea Leaf Wheel. What was the relationship between Feng Yao and Star Sea Leaf Wheel? Probably no one knew. On the Zhentian clan's spectator stand, the 3 heroes of the Feng clan, Ling Han, Lu Guanming, Liao Lele, and a large group of people were watching the arena nervously. They couldn't hear some people's conversations, but they knew that Long Yu was definitely facing a very bad situation now. Even the clan master, Bai Yunzong, was stopped by Chu Chaosheng. The disciples of the Zhentian clan could only pray on the side. In the current situation, no matter who stood out, the result would be the same, seeking death. In the face of absolute strength, numbers could not solve any problem at all. When Star Sea Leaf Wheel asked Long Yuanjian to get out of the way, Yu Ruyan finally found an opportunity. She had wanted to kill Long Yu for a long time. She was just stopped by Long Yuanjian, but now, Long Yuanjian was busy dealing with Star Sea Leaf Wheel and had no time to pay attention to Yu Ruyan. A fierce light flashed in Yu Ruyan's eyes, but she suddenly heard 4 loud and clear words coming from Long Yu's mouth. Where is the Lu clan? Where was the Lu clan? The Lu clan was one of the 4 great families of the Great Tang Empire, and the patriarch was an expert at the 8th level of the true spirit realm. Previously, when Long Yu sold the meteorite containing the mysterious jade-grade meteorite law to Trade World, Chief Steward Lu Fuji had promised Long Yu that he would do something for Long Yu. Now, it was time for them to make their appearance. Long Yu glanced at the spectator stands of the Lu clan, not far away. However, he found that at this moment, the Lu clan patriarch, Lu Fuji, and the other members of the Lu clan had no intention of making a move. Little brother Long, I promised you that I would help you as long as it was within the Lu clan's capabilities, but now forgive us for being powerless. When Lu Fuji heard Long Yu's words, he stood up and said indifferently, how could the Lu clan dare to offend Star Sea Leaf Wheel, one of the 7 stars of calamity, who was at the oneness of heaven and man realm? Helping Long Yu at this time? That was simply courting death. Can't you stop Yu Ruyan? Long Yu snorted coldly. Lu Fuji glanced at Yu Ruyan, then glanced at Chu Chaosheng not far away. He shook his head and said, we're powerless. The Lu clan was actually going back on their words. The Lu clan patriarch was also in the 8th level of the true spirit secret realm. Who would believe that he could not stop Yu Ruyan? They were just afraid that Chu Chaosheng would cause trouble for the Lu clan after this. Most importantly, Long Yu was about to die anyway. Why should they help a dead man? Good, very good. A cold light flashed in Long Yu's eyes. This Lu clan did not seem to be good people. At this point, Long Yu could only use his final trump card. However, even he was not confident that he could use it to deal with the Star Sea Leaf Wheel of the heaven-being mystic realm. You're at death's door, and you're still dreaming that someone will help you? I don't think anyone will stand on your side other than an old fool. Yu Ruyan sneered. Long Yu's calm expression was reflected in her eyes, which made her feel that something was amiss. At this time, the first battle between true experts finally broke out not far away. Bai Yunzong and Tang Qin finally made their move after looking at each other. The 2 released their true spirits in an instant. The heaven-suppressing field and ice field roared towards Chu Chaosheng, who was blocking their way. When Long Yu was in danger, even when facing an unbeatable opponent like the Star Sea Leaf Wheel, Bai Yunzong and Tang Qin still desperately wanted to fight for him. This was because Long Yu was a disciple of the Zhentian clan, and the Ice Sect and the Zhentian clan had been working together since the 7-clan martial competition. Tang Qin used this friendship to brazenly make her move. Chapter 220. In an instant, Bai Yun and Chu Chaoxing were locked in a fierce battle. Terrifying heaven-suppressing domain and emperor domain erupted, causing the people nearby to retreat, afraid of being caught in the crossfire. As for Tang Qin, she didn't care about Chu Chaoxing. She immediately rushed towards Long Yu's location. As she sprinted, she left behind a trail of frost. In an instant, the distance between Tang Qin and Long Yu was halved. You want to take him away? Don't even think about it. Yu Ruyan reacted, snorted coldly, and brazenly attacked Tang Qin. The two women, each with peerless beauty, were fighting for Long Yu. Yu Ruyan wanted to kill Long Yu, while Tang Qin wanted to protect Long Yu. Sect leader Tang Qin, Long Yu could not help but be stunned. He had never thought that someone would help him in this situation. He could understand Bai Yun's action, but Tang Qin's was beyond his imagination. No matter what, Tang Qin did not hesitate to offend Yu Ruyan and Chu Chaoxing for Long Yu. Long Yu would remember this kindness. On the other side, Star Ocean Leaf made Feng Yao take a few steps back. She waved her hand, condensing 1,000 rays of starlight, and a terrifying heavenly steel law instantly spread out. Star Ocean Law. Star Ocean Leaf. He had obtained a Star Ocean heavenly steel by chance when he was young. He continued to comprehend and struggle, and finally stepped into the heavenly realm, achieving Star Ocean Law. Experts in the heavenly realm could completely comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. Only those who reached the heavenly realm could upgrade their domain to the true law. The difference between domain and law was too great. Just like Long Yu, if he could comprehend heaven-suppressing law, the pressure would be more than 10 times stronger than heaven-suppressing domain, not to mention the Star Ocean Law, which was a heavenly steel law. The Star Ocean Law spread out, instantly enveloping the gray-robed Long Yuanjian. Bursts of starlight illuminated Long Yuanjian, turning him blue. Blood Dragon. Long Yuanjian was not to be outdone. The Blood Dragon true spirit behind him was instantly released. The terrifying strength of a peak stage true spirit secret realm burst out and dispersed a lot of the starlight. However, the difference between the heavenly being secret realm and the true spirit secret realm was too great. Even though Long Yuanjian was at the peak stage of the true spirit secret realm, he was no match for the Star Ocean Yiluan. In just a few breaths of time, the rays of starlight constantly swept over and completely suppressed Long Yuanjian's Blood Dragon true spirit. It was likely that it would be completely destroyed in a short while. Tens of thousands of people were observing the situation in the dojo. Seeing the experts at the One of Heaven and Man realm make their moves, all of them widened their eyes, afraid to miss out on any exciting scenes. When they saw that even Long Yuanjian was completely suppressed by the galaxy wheel, all of them sighed in their hearts. Too strong. Ordinary martial cultivators could not imagine how strong an expert in the unity of heaven and man realm was. However, there were many people who felt indignant. This galaxy wheel, one of the 7 stars of disaster of the heavenly mandate continent, dared to show off in the Tang Empire. Was he looking down on the entire Tang Empire? However, when they looked at the left Duke, Chu Chaoxing, they found that Chu Chaoxing had completely suppressed Bai Yunzong. Even Bai Yunzong was vomiting blood and injured. Chu Chaoxing did not care about the galaxy wheel at all. Looking at him, it was as if he had already known that the galaxy wheel would come. It was as if the appearance of the galaxy wheel was arranged by the galaxy wheel. Of course, Long Yu also noticed this. He did not believe that the Tang Empire did not have an expert of the heavenly being secret realm who could fight against the galaxy wheel. The only explanation was that the galaxy wheel came here with the tacit consent of someone in the Tang Empire. And this person was undoubtedly Chu Chaoxing. Dragon of the 9 underworlds, it's all up to you now. Long Yu looked around and saw Bai Yunzong spitting blood and flying backward under Chu Chaoxing's continuous attacks. He also saw the anxious Tang Qin repeatedly make mistakes under Yu Ruyan's obstruction and was trapped by Yu Ruyan's shadow spiderweb, on the verge of death. He also saw the scene of Long Yuanjian's aged figure being completely suppressed under the starlight of the galaxy wheel. Even the blood dragon's true spirit was beginning to crumble. Apart from these people, the tens of thousands of people in the Imperial Army dojo were all watching the show. For example, the aristocratic families, the Liu family, the Wang family, the Luo family, the Yuqi family, the pavilion master and her disciples of the Qingqing pavilion, the hidden fire temple master, Hua Haishan, the broken blade sect master, Chu Shanwu Wait. A group of people was watching the scene with a sneer. They all wanted to see the scene of Long Yu's death. The scene in the Imperial Army dojo ignited Long Yu's anger. The dragon of the 9 underworld's true spirit was finally about to come out. Although he was usually unwilling to release the dragon of the 9 underworld's true spirit because he was afraid that it would affect his body negatively, he could not care less now. If he did not use his trump card, whether it was by Yunzong, Tang Qin, or Long Yuanjian, they would at least be seriously injured or even killed on the spot. No matter what, Long Yu would not let that happen. Dragon of the 9 underworlds, true spirit. Long Yu shouted to the sky. The 9 underworlds' qi burst out from his body and gathered above his head. In an instant, it condensed into a mighty dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit. The dragon of the 9 underworlds seemed to have come from the Yellow Springs. The moment it appeared, it completely turned the surrounding area into the Yellow Springs domain. Once the dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit appeared, it was as if the real dragon of the 9 underworlds had descended, shocking everyone in the Imperial Army dojo. Even the galaxy wheel of the Heaven and Human Secret Realm was no exception. At this moment, tens of thousands of people were enveloped by the 9 underworlds' qi. Even breathing became extremely difficult, and they had no idea what was happening in the dojo. The dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit controlled the entire dojo. Kill? Run? When Long Yu released the dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit, he immediately discovered that everyone around him was completely shocked. Galaxy wheel? The handsome young man maintained his posture of sprinkling starlight. His eyes were filled with shock as he stood rooted to the spot. Chu Chaoxing? His whole body was enveloped by the 9 underworlds' qi. It was as if he had fallen into the Yellow Springs swamp, and he could not move at all. Yu Ruyan was in an even worse situation. When the dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit appeared, there was only shock left in her eyes. She was caught off guard and was hit in the chest by Tang Qin. She was sent flying and fell heavily to the ground. However, at this moment, both the enemies and the allies were shocked by the dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit. Long Yuanjian stood there in a daze. Bai Yunzong fell to the ground. Tang Qin stopped on the spot after throwing out her palm. When the dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit was released, the surrounding time seemed to have stopped. Only the gentle breeze that kept blowing told Long Yu that time was still passing. It's too unrealistic to kill the galaxy wheel. The best thing to do now is— a cold light flashed in Long Yu's eyes. The lunar wings instantly spread out and he turned into a grayish-black flowing light. With a flash, he appeared behind Feng Yao, who had retreated not far away. He grabbed Feng Yao's neck with one hand and retreated to the entrance of the Imperial Army's dojo with her. Since Xinghai Yiluan was willing to travel so far to kill Long Yu for Feng Yao, it was clear that Feng Yao and Xinghai Yiluan had a close relationship. Using Feng Yao as a hostage was the only way for Long Yu to escape. If Long Yu did not release the dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit, it would be impossible for him to cross the galaxy wheel and kidnap Feng Yao. It could be said that even if Long Yu released the dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit, he would only be able to fight for a slim chance of survival. Stop. The first to wake up was the galaxy wheel. His martial arts realm was the highest. He had stepped into the heavenly realm. Even if Long Yu released the dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit, he would not be able to hold him back for long. He quickly woke up and saw that Long Yu was holding Feng Yao hostage and was leaving the Imperial Army martial field. He immediately shouted angrily and wanted to chase after them. "If you take another step forward, I'll take her life." Seeing that the galaxy wheel had woken up, Long Yu snorted coldly and grabbed Feng Yao's neck. As expected, the galaxy wheel stopped. There was a look of disbelief on his handsome face. He never thought that Long Yu would have a way to intimidate him and capture Feng Yao from behind. Since the galaxy wheel had woken up, the dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit was useless. Long Yu withdrew the dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit and walked out of the Imperial Army's dojo step by step with Feng Yao's neck. Very quickly, Long Yu and Feng Yao disappeared from Yi Luan's sight. This caused Yi Luan to bite his lips unwillingly. A dignified heavenly realm expert, one of the 7 calamities, Galaxy Wheel, had been defeated by a kid at the 4th level of the true spirit realm. If news of this were to spread, it would be enough to make him lose all face. Yi Luan did not care about face, but he cared about Feng Yao. As Long Yu and Feng Yao disappeared, Yi Luan immediately wanted to chase after them. No matter what, his strength was much stronger than Long Yu's. With Feng Yao as a hostage, he could only hold on for a moment. It was impossible for him to let Long Yu escape from Yi Luan. At this time, the dragon of the 9 underworlds' true spirit dissipated in the air with Long Yu's departure. The tens of thousands of people in the Imperial Army's dojo finally woke up. However, what entered their eyes was an unbelievable scene. Long Yu had disappeared, and even Feng Yao had disappeared. In the dojo, the most eye-catching person was the handsome young man in a blue robe, Yi Luan. He raised his hands and flew into the air. Unity of heaven and man, flying through the air. Whether it was Long Yuanjian who had just woken up, White Cloud Tracks, or Tang Qin, none of them could catch up to Yi Luan. They could only watch as he left the Imperial Army's dojo. However, at this moment, a series of elegant zither sounds came from the sky. Under everyone's gaze, Galaxy Wheel, who had flown into the sky, seemed to have hit a barrier and was bounced back. "Emo Shanjian?" Yi Luan's face darkened. He stood on the ground and raised his head to look at the sky. "Emo Shanjian, the Lord of the Mountains." When White Cloud Tracks heard the series of elegant zither sounds, he finally let out a sigh of relief. He was saved. It seemed that the powerful talent that Long Yu had displayed had finally attracted Emo Shanjian's attention. Since Emo Shanjian had made a move, Long Yu's life was finally safe. Otherwise, even with Feng Yao as a hostage, would Long Yu really be able to escape? Many of the tens of thousands of people in the Imperial Army dojo heard the zither sounds and guessed who it was. Chapter 221. Anyone who had stepped into the heavenly realm would have a certain amount of fame in the entire heavenly mandate continent. For example, Yi Luan and the 7 Stars of Calamity, or the previous head of the Emo clan of the Xiang clan of the Tang Kingdom, Emo Shanjian, the owner of the Shanjian residence. Such a person would not easily appear in front of ordinary people. However, it was the martial arts competition of the 7 sects, and Chu Chaoxing wanted to change the power structure of the entire Tang Kingdom. It was completely normal for Emo Shanjian to hide and watch. Perhaps Emo Shanjian did not want to interfere in this matter, but when he saw Long Yu's true spirit explode with the true spirit of the dragon of the 9 underworlds, shocking everyone, even Emo Shanjian was shocked by Long Yu. Wouldn't it be such a pity if such a talent were to die like this? As the previous head of the Emo clan of the Xiang clan, Emo Shanjian mostly considered the interests of the Emo clan of the Xiang clan, as well as the interests of the entire Tang Kingdom. Protect Long Yu. This way, not only could he cause some trouble for Chu Chaoxing and the Long clan of the General clan, he could also gain a powerful ally for the Emo clan of the Xiang clan. Who knows, he might come in handy in the future. Why not? Emo Shanjian had seen Long Yu's unlimited potential from the true spirit of the dragon of the 9 underworlds. Yi Luan had obviously heard of Emo Shanjian, the owner of the Shanjian residence. Although he was not afraid of Emo Shanjian, it was impossible for him to break through Emo Shanjian's blockade and chase after the escaping Long Yu. What's more, Yi Luan was currently in the Tang Empire. In the entire Tang Kingdom, Emo Shanjian was not the only one in the heavenly realm. If others were to attack, Yi Luan would not be able to escape unscathed. Originally, Yi Luan had received Chu Chaosheng's guarantee, which was why he took the risk to come here. But now, he clearly understood that Chu Chaosheng's guarantee did not mean anything. Long Yu's display of great talent caused even Emo Shanjian, who was in the heaven realm, to admire him. The atmosphere of the entire Imperial Army battlefield became extremely tense. However, after Emo Shanjian repelled the Galaxy Yi Luan, he did not show himself. Obviously, he did not want to deal with the Galaxy Yi Luan, but only wanted to stop him from chasing after Long Yu. Based on Long Yu's speed, Emo Shanjian only needed to delay him for half a day before Long Yu could take Feng Yao and run far away. As for why she didn't let Long Yu come back, Emo Shanjian had her own plans. How could an eagle truly soar above the vault of heaven without being tempered? With Long Yu's current martial arts realm, he already stood at the peak of the 7 major sects of the Tang Empire. If he stayed in the Tang Empire, no one would be able to teach him. If he wanted to take a step further on the path of martial arts, he still had to rely on Long Yu himself. Going out to experience the world was the most important. Since Emo Shanjian didn't appear, Yi Luan didn't move either. He sat down in the Imperial Army's dojo and closed his eyes to rest. With Emo Shanjian of the Heavenly People's secret realm holding the fort, no one else dared to act rashly, including the left prince, Chu Chaosheng. Although he was only second to a few people in the Tang Empire, Emo Shanjian was one of them. Tang Qin had just injured Yu Ruyan and returned to the Ice Sect's camp. With a wave of her hand, she led the Ice Sect's disciples away. Since Chu Chaosheng was distorting the truth, there was no need for the 7-sect martial competition to continue. What was Tang Qin doing here? The Ice Sect had retreated. As for Tang Qin, the first thing she did when she returned to the sect was to prepare the Ice Heart Sutra and give it to Chu Chaosheng. It wasn't that she had resigned herself to fate, but with just her and Bai Yunzong's resistance, it was impossible to stop Chu Chaosheng. If they stubbornly resisted, the entire sect might be uprooted by Chu Chaosheng. Chu Chaosheng was not someone who couldn't do such a thing. Now, Tang Qin could only look forward to Long Yu stepping into a higher realm of martial arts and waiting for his return. Bai Yunzong, who had suffered serious injuries, returned to the Zhentian clan's spectator stand. "Sect Master, how are you?" Many Zhentian clan's disciples and elders immediately came to greet him. "I'm fine. Since Senior Shanjian has appeared, Long Yu will be safe for now." Bai Yunzong finally let out a sigh of relief. Even now, he was still worried about Long Yu, and did not worry about his own injuries. It could be seen that the degree of importance he placed on Long Yu had already far surpassed his own. Suddenly, a figure flew over from outside the Imperial Martial Field. The Zhentian clan's spectator stand saw that it was the Feng family's master, Feng Chang'e, who had been cultivating in his residence and trying to break through to the next realm. Feng Chang'e had finally broken through to the True Spirit realm and stepped into the 7th level of the True Spirit secret realm. However, before he could rejoice, he felt a soul-stirring aura erupt from the Imperial Army's training field, causing him to rush over in a hurry. "Where's Long Yu?" Feng Chang'e entered the Imperial Martial Field and soon arrived at the Zhentian clan's spectator stand. He looked around but did not see Long Yu's figure. He only saw a handsome young man dressed in blue sitting on the Imperial Army's martial field with his eyes closed. Feng Chang'e could sense an extremely powerful aura from the handsome young man. After telling Feng Chang'e to calm down, Track of White Cloud proceeded to tell him what had just happened. "Feng Yao? With the starry discus?" Feng Chang'e frowned and glanced at the field. He did not expect the young man in a blue shirt to be an expert in the unity of Heavenman realm. He felt a surge of anger in his heart, but he let out a miserable sigh. He was angry because Feng Yao was still unwilling to give up and wanted to make a move against Long Yu. However, he was sad because now that Feng Yao had fallen into Long Yu's hands, according to Long Yu's personality, he would probably not forgive her this time. "I'll go and take a look." Feng Chang'e immediately made up his mind. He would fight for a chance for Feng Yao no matter what. He would then keep Feng Yao by his side so that she would not have the chance to act recklessly again. "Wait." Bai Yunzong shook his head and stopped Feng Chang'e. "Since you didn't see them when you came in, do you know where they are now? You won't be able to catch up to them." "I'll go after them even if I can't," Feng Chang'e said stubbornly and was about to leave. However, at that instant, a pretty figure in a light green dress suddenly appeared at the entrance of the Imperial Martial Field. It was Feng Yao. Feng Yao had a dejected look on her face. She raised her head and saw the expression on Feng Chang'e's face as he looked at her. Long Yu had let her go. It was very obvious that after Long Yu left the Imperial Army Martial Field, he saw the scene of Xinghai Yiluan being blocked by Mo Shanjian and forced to retreat. Thus, it was useless for him to bring Feng Yao along. Instead, she would become his burden. "Father," Feng Yao panicked as soon as she saw Feng Chang'e. Feng Chang'e harumphed coldly and stepped forward. "Look at what you've done! From today onward, I will move the Feng clan to the royal city and settle down there. And you will stay by my side." Feng Yao lowered her head. If she was facing the original Feng Chang'e, she might still be stubborn. However, not only had Feng Chang'e recovered his cultivation, he had also reached the 7th layer true spirit realm. She had heard about this when she first arrived at the royal city. It was Long Yu who had exchanged a precious treasure for a black level pill that had cured Feng Chang'e's condition. She was slightly grateful to Long Yu, but since she had already brought the starry discus here, she had no choice but to help. "General Feng." At that instant, the starry discus, who was resting at the center of the Imperial Martial Field, suddenly opened his eyes and looked in Feng Chang'e's direction. Feng Chang'e turned around with a frown. "You've recovered from your injuries." The starry discus let out a sigh and said, "If that's the case, there's no need for me to stay. Take care." This sentence stunned many people in the surroundings. "You? Take care?" The starry discus knew Feng Chang'e and seemed to be very respectful toward him. What was going on? "You know me?" Feng Chang'e subconsciously asked. However, the starry discus figure suddenly soared into the sky. This time, Mo Shanjian did not stop him, most likely because he could tell that the starry discus no longer had any murderous intent toward Long Yu. A moment later, the starry discus disappeared from everyone's sight. "Yao, who exactly is this starry discus?" Feng Chang'e asked Feng Yao with a stern expression. "He was saved by you when he was young and managed to keep his life. After that, he obtained a starry heavenly steel and achieved the heaven-human mystical realm by cultivating the nomological laws." Feng Yao lowered her head and said, "It's my fault. When I met him, he immediately recognized me as your daughter and said that he wanted to repay my kindness, so I used him to deal with Long Yu." Feng Chang'e would never have thought that he would be Xinghai Yiluan's benefactor, and Xinghai Yiluan did not come with her to deal with Long Yu because he had taken a fancy to Feng Yao, but to repay her kindness. "However, Father, Discus mentioned that it's fine if you don't recover your cultivation. Once you do, there will be many troubles that will come knocking on your door." Feng Yao said worriedly. "Not only have I recovered, but I've also reached the 7th layer true spirit realm. Do you think I'm afraid of them?" Feng Chang'e's eyes flickered. He knew that trouble would come knocking on his door once he recovered his cultivation, but why should he be afraid? Unfortunately, Feng Chang'e had saved too many people in the past. He could not remember when he had saved the starry discus. As for the starry discus, he did not know how important Long Yu was to Feng Chang'e, so he listened to Feng Yao's words and came to kill Long Yu. However, when he saw Feng Chang'e rushing to the scene and looking for Long Yu, he understood the position that Long Yu occupied in Feng Chang'e's heart. After the starry discus left, the martial competition of the 7 sects came to an end. Yu Qianning chose to challenge the Ice sect, but the Ice sect's disciples had already left, so they were considered to have forfeited. The Thousand Thread sect successfully won the martial competition of the 7 sects. Apart from the Thousand Thread sect, the other 6 sects had to give their cultivation techniques to Chu Chaosheng. The Great Tang Kingdom had entered a new era, and Chu Chaosheng's personal sect was about to be established. As for the Zhentian clan, the Ice sect, and the other sects, the only thing they could look forward to was his return. Waiting for Long Yu's return. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.